Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There may be strong language and adult themes. And YouTube is not picking up the feed. Oh, there it is. That was
We're
a
seeing
big
it now.
delay. Yeah, that was a rather long delay. So anyway.
Doesn't look like we have anyone in chat yet anyway, so.
Nope. But that often happens that we don't get anybody showing up for the first 10 or 15 minutes, so.
Just kill some time here, I guess.
Yep. So today is Oyster Day. Not that I have anything to say about oysters.
Neither do I.
I have tried them, but don't particularly care for them.
Yeah, I know I have tried them at some point, but yeah, I don't really even have a strong memory of what they taste like.
I had some bullies almost push me into an oyster bed once when I was young.
Oh, that sounds nasty.
Yeah, I wrapped myself around a tree to keep them from doing it.
Yeah, I would think that if you were barefoot, walking on an oyster bed could be quite painful there.
Yeah, those things are like razor blades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, that the shells were really quite sharp.
It was more the texture of eating it rather than the actual flavour that put me off. It sort of made it difficult to eat for me.
I think that's the case for most people.
Kind of a slimy texture.
Yeah, like a big clump of snot.
Yeah, that's usually the jokes that are made about it.
Well, I am happy to say that my beef stew turned out quite well.
Ah, well, that's good.
Yeah, I had to stop myself from had to stop myself from eating a third bowl of it. I need to make that stuff last.
It's been a long time since I've done a beef stew. I should do another.
How much of it did you make?
I filled the entire crock pot.
Oh, right. Good amount.
Yeah.
How many days do you think they'll last?
Not sure. I might end up having to freeze some of it.
Yeah, I made chili over the weekend, and Sloth Girl's gotten tired of it already, so I put a quart in the freezer. I did the 6-quart crock pot, and it was to the point I could barely stir it.
I used some of the jicama I grew in there.
All right.
Yeah, I just kind of coated it with some. After I chopped it up, I coated it with some celery salt and garlic powder, and just let it sit. While I seared the meat in a mixture of olive oil and butter.
Sounds yummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Sloth Girl's got a couple of steaks that she wasn't thrilled with. Stew might be a good idea from those.
Yeah, that's usually a good way of using bad steak. Well, not bad steak, but
Evil steak.
Evil steak, yeah, work.
Yeah. Well, and she really enjoys a good steak, so she gets disappointed with one that's not really, high grade.
Yeah.
I get that, if something's a treat, you don't want to just settle for mediocre.
Yeah, I can see that.
I do it back. Oh.
Adding the ginger stalk in there was pretty interesting.
the stew?
Yeah, it was actually the green top part of the ginger that I added, rather than the normal part that you usually use.
As
Yeah, I'm
opposed
more
to the
familiar with the
root.
ginger root.
Yeah, it wasn't the root. I used the stem and leaves. Just put that on top up and let it cook down.
What does the stem and leaves taste like compared to the root?
It's a milder ginger flavor.
More sort of spinachy sort of in texture.
It's kind of fibrous. I'm not sure if it would be good, to eat directly, but it's just a seasoning.
Best for
It works
flavouring.
pretty good. Yeah. Might make a good tea.
Well, that's what I'm most used to using the root for. Is that making ginger tea was something my fiance liked, and actually is more like a medicinal thing. It seemed to help with her period.
Huh, interesting.
Some reason I thought it'd help more with sore throats.
I find hibiscus tea helps with a sore throat.
Whoop. Hello, Porpoise.
Hello.
Hello. Ooh,
Seems
pretty.
to be kind of a slow night. So, do porpoises eat oysters?
Porpoises are muted.
We got somebody in the chat.
All right, there we
Hello.
go.
Okay, there you are, Oyster.
I don't know. Actual porpoises might. I don't, because I don't like oysters, but
Some right winger, as I know, are talking about how unfair Alex Jones is being treated in court. He already lost. This is just determining how badly he's going to lose at this point.
Well, this was only supposed to determine the damages, but with the shit that the court found, now he could actually be held for perjury, which could actually result in jail time.
Well,
And his lawyers could get in trouble too because of their shenanigans.
I remember hearing his ex-wife saying that what we see on his show is basically the real him, and I'm beginning to believe it after the way he's behaved in court.
I've been wondering if maybe he should have done a mental competency hearing before the trial started.
Yeah.
Be right back.
Yeah, so I can just imagine Alex Jones is sort of going, for the love of God, shut up.
I can't believe.
Yeah, he does. Sorry, go on, Poppers.
I can't believe the judge didn't say that to him. I mean, I've seen the judge's expressions. She is not impressed by the lawyers or Alex Jones.
No. No, he's his own worst enemy.
So, does Alex Jones eat oysters?
Don't know.
I don't know. Do they have estrogen in them to mess up your hormones so that you're less of a man? Like, him and Joseph Watson are all about the soy boy thing, I think.
I'm sure Alex Jones sells supplements that can counteract that.
Well, it'd be great if all of his texts were accidentally uploaded online. Did you hear about that? How basically the lawyer accidentally, the plaintiff's lawyer were told no, we don't have, and the court was told, no, we don't have any texts. And then the defense lawyer accidentally sent all of the texts to the plaintiff lawyer.
Yeah, I saw that. Also, him pointing the texts out.
Well, that's why they could hold him for perjury now. Because he lied about not having the evidence they asked for.
Well, my personal theory is that Alex Jones is so clearly guilty that the lawyer thought Alex Jones's best defense was acting so incompetent and getting a mistrial declared.
I was wondering if there wasn't like some junior person at the law firm who just had a feeling that, you know, maybe somebody here should have some ethics.
I don't know.
Or it could have been just such a big shitstorm of disorganization that before the texts were meant to be verified to make sure that not everything was sent, but someone accidentally sent everything.
Possible.
Yeah, somebody misinterpreted a memo.
Or, well, I've been in a similar situation where I was working for an ISP and I had a list of everyone to join the ISP, like to switch over on the ISP. And I was supposed to run it past the boss before I submitted it. And I was, because of the pressure of trying to get everything together, I totally missed that step and, yeah, it's fucked up. So I imagine something like that might have happened.
Files sent by Alex Jones included child porn, Sandy Hook lawyer's claim.
Dobra, che ti stai?
Hello, Moo person.
Yeah.
Hello.
How is everybody? Oh, give me a couple minutes to get some clothes and I'll turn my camera on.
The FBI advised counsel that its review located numerous additional illegal images which had apparently been sent into InfoWars' email address, as the file says.
Yeah, it was just sent to him, so it could have been someone trying to screw him over rather than
okay. Yeah, it sounds
himself actually going around downloading it.
Porpoises and dolphins do not eat oysters, but whales do.
What kinds of whales?
I don't know. It doesn't say. I would
Because
assume
I find it hard to imagine that any baleen whales would eat them.
Well, no, they would need teeth to crack them open.
But porpoises and dolphins are the only teeth whales, aren't they?
Porpoise.
Not entirely. I
There are
know
a
the
couple-
sperm whale doesn't qualify as a porpoise or dolphin.
I thought you had two.
Cutoff is.
I thought you had two general classes of toothed whales and then baleen whales.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Amazon River dolphins, piranhas are actually one of their favorite food. That they will choose those over most other type of fish.
interesting.
Oh,
What are you up to with
Ev-
him?
Everyone likes a little danger with their meal.
Yeah, I am actually surprised because, you know, we've always got the pictures that piranhas will eat anything that's in the water.
yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was in school the first time, Marietta, Ohio, on the Ohio River, you could actually get piranha in pet stores. And there was a little bit of a problem with people getting tired of them and releasing them into the river.
Yeah, I don't know about anybody else. I'm not really up for arguing politics tonight.
Athena, are you passing gas?
All right.
I've been pretty burned out on it.
What?
I don't care either way.
There's this cat that is all over me.
Fumble.
You as a kiddiness. Yes.
Excuse me.
Oh, God, let's finish putting this nightgown.
This week's just been taking a lot of energy out of me, so I don't have energy to expend on things that I don't think are going to get anywhere.
Maybe
Hey,
you should pet
Jyuni.
Sammy's.
Hello.
I was just running around all day today.
Yeah, God.
Maybe you should pet Sammy Sam.
Come here. Where is that sleeve? There it is.
Athena, you know by next week I'm going to have to start going to bed early anyway. Wednesday night I'm going to have to go to sleep early so I can wake up early in the morning.
It's quite a loud purr.
Hello.
Yay. Yes, there's a purr over here.
Well, Athena's purring too.
Okay.
I don't know who's closer. Well, now she's pretty close to the microphone.
Well, Sylvia was right next to me, so that's what I was hearing.
But I don't know what Mage was hearing.
I'm probably hearing in yours.
Oh, yay. Oh, God.
Yeah,
Ow, ow,
Sammy
ow,
is not that loud.
No, thank you.
ow.
Actually, that's how I knew Sammy was sick, though, was that he didn't come in the morning to check on me.
Oh, any idea what it's sick with?
Yeah, I think he was just constipated. That was like on Tuesday, so he's doing better now. I
Oh.
think he hadn't been drinking enough water and let himself get dehydrated.
Oops, not good. Not good.
Now I
Yeah,
got a
so
kitty.
I've gotta make sure he fixes that. And
Do I have? Yes, I do.
so the canned pumpkin seems to be a good idea.
My Winston used to love canned pumpkin.
Yeah, Dr. Oyster on Twitter had suggested it. And I think that helped him, and yeah, he'll eat it. It's natural. It gives him some extra moisture and a bit of fiber. So
That reminds me, Athena, I have to make sure I'm giving you the right amount of moist dried or moist cat food. I'm not sure how much you're supposed to get.
well, that's the thing that ours are mostly on dry food. So I think that's part of it. That he doesn't
Oh,
really
yeah.
like wet cat food very much. There's like a couple he likes as treats, but usually if I give him anything wet, he like licks the gravy off and leaves it behind.
Well, I know another thing that can help is cats like running water, so Athena has a cat fountain she's been drinking from. It doesn't have to be a cat fountain. If you want something decorative, you can get a decorative fountain, and they'll drink from that. But
Yeah, Sammy mostly likes to drink from the bathroom sink.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless it's not the toilet.
Athena will do that, but I wanted her to have something she has access to all the time.
Yeah, I keep the lid down. I don't want him getting there.
No.
Athena, what are you doing?
It'd be right.
Oh.
Are you climbing Mount Porpoise?
Neck being a pain in the neck again.
Always. No, I'm never without pain. It's just a matter of how much pain at any given time. And I know I have to call the pain clinic and finally get something done about that. I have the referral. It's just a matter of getting everything initiated. I just hope that they would be able to do something useful for me.
That's your mistake, thinking doctors can do something useful most of the time.
Yeah. I was in bed all day today because I was sick this morning. Did not get to dialysis because I was throwing up and everything.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit. Don't get old. It's not worth it.
I'm afraid we don't really get a choice on that.
Well, actually, we do, but you guys don't hear about that.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, shit. Oh, God, where's my horse collar? Here we are. Here we are. The heat helps. It does. Probably the most effective thing that I've tried. Oh, yay.
Have you had a cat try attacking your arm?
Not lately.
Do you find that helps? Do you find that helps with pain pulvers?
I find it helps distract from whatever other pain's going on.
Counter irritant.
Stop biting.
Stop being made of delicious meat.
I wonder if a neck brace would help you.
I don't know. Like I say, I'm gonna have to get the call out and see what I can do. It's just that I spend so much time in bed because when I'm in bed, it hurts less. That I don't get the stuff done that I need to get done.
Hey, Beck.
Hey,
Well, thanks, Jyuni.
Jyuni is
cool
such a
rider.
sweetie.
Well.
Athena, eventually I'm going to throw that shoebox away, so you might as well enjoy it.
You are the kiddiness.
Yep, now I gotta take you off the speakers.
What?
Oh, Critical on Twitter was showing a picture of a destroyed TV, and we were talking about how that can happen with cats. And yeah, the only time that Sammy tries to get up in the TV is when he hears Sylvia. Then he wants to climb right through.
Oh, I don't know. He's got a crush on Sylvia, huh?
Yep.
Who's Sylvia?
My kitty.
Yeah, Lavender Kitty.
Okay. Right.
That
Sorry.
tail in the foreground.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, apparently I should give the cat more moist cat food. Okay.
Well, the cat would always say so.
Alternatively, you could just keep buying the dry cat food and then chew it up, or
The cat's... I'm not a Ferengi, and neither is the cat. But no, I've been giving her moist cat food twice a week, so...
Well, the mommies will do that for them. You're not a good mommy?
Listen, I've been trying hard enough to convince Athena that she's lactose intolerant now.
Yeah, well, yeah, cats have that problem. They like dairy, but it's usually not good for them.
Yeah, it's, I think most mammals have that problem.
Most humans have that problem. It's just that most humans of European descent have a mutation that allows them to digest milk into adulthood.
Yeah.
I would seem to have that mutation.
And if
I
I,
do not.
remember, say again, hon?
I do not. I really can't drink milk. I can manage cheese okay, but milk and ice cream can give me problems.
My ex developed lactose intolerance late in life, mid 40s. She started that problem. Now me, I can do all the milk I want. Well, I'm not allowed to because of the kidney failure, but
In fact, I even go above and beyond. I'll use like half and half on cereal.
okay.
Yeah, soft roll doesn't have any problem with it either.
I think I only have problem with dairy when I try eating a 1 2-liter container of ice cream in one day. If I spread it up, if I spread it over 2 days, it doesn't upset my stomach too much.
Pretty sure that's not the dairy.
Hey,
Oh
Spooky.
my.
Speaking of bad foods, I had the worst calzone I ever had today. I'm trying to find a good calzone locally, and they just don't seem to exist.
Oh my, the closest I could direct you is New Jersey.
Why would I
Yeah.
need to go to New Jersey when Pennsylvania's right before it?
Well, the last time I had a good calzone was in New Jersey.
I suppose next you're going to tell me Wawa's is better than Sheets.
I've never been to a Wawa.
Sheets?
Never mind.
Yeah, Sheets is a gas station convenience store.
Very much an East Coast thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Sheets I know, but not Wawa.
I don't even know Sheets, even though I lived in New York. We mostly had Hess stations all over.
More accurately, it's mostly a Pennsylvania thing.
Hello.
Hey, Kitty. You get my message?
Hello.
No,
Hello.
I haven't checked. I literally just went and grabbed the link from Purple.
Oh, I buyed that vampire game.
Oh, you did? That's awesome.
Empire game?
I'll have to add you as a friend on Steam.
Be
And then
rising.
I'll invite you.
Oh, yay. That sounds like fun.
I'm just cutting down wood in said vampire game right now.
What's the said vampire game?
It's called
The
The Rising.
The Rising. It's a survival game, right?
Yes, it is a survival game where you are a vampire and you build your castle and enthrall humans as slaves or midnight snacks.
I like that. We should invite Orla.
Maybe I should
Can you
actually
just like gradually feed on the human so that you don't have to totally exsanguinate them every time?
I'm not sure because I haven't actually tried. Like, I know, like, in battle, you exsanguinate them and they die. But if you put them in a prison, I'm not sure because you can feed them like rats and fish to keep them alive. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it kills them when you eat them or not because I haven't actually tracked down because I haven't found anybody with a good enough blood quality because when you mouse over someone, you can see what their blood quality is. And
Yep.
if your blood is low, you're going to want someone, you know, of a decent blood quality to exsanguinate them for your survival. But then if you find extras of good blood quality, you can toss them in prisons. I just have gotten to the point where I needed the blood. So I needed it like in me, not, you know, in my prison cell.
There you go.
maybe I should consider actually putting my Steam account to use and getting that game.
I mean, it's $18 right now. It's not a major like investment. Like it's not a very expensive game.
Yeah, and even the regular price isn't that bad. It's only what, 20?
Yeah, the regular price is like $20.
Gotta say, one of the cheapest games you can get, Kitty, on Steam. Foreskin Fury.
Foreskin Fury?
Man.
That sounds like one of those adult visual novels that are like $2.
It's about
Yeah.
Sounds like a
15.
Chuck Tingle thing.
It's about 15 of your dollars.
It's fine, thank you.
But
I mean, there are a
it's
lot of
an
cheap-
educational way to do a first-person shooter. Just saying.
I find it delightfully ironic, Kitty, that we're talking about exsanguinating humans with your tagline of protect bodily autonomy.
Yeah.
There's a difference between video games and real life.
There is.
In fact, I would be willing to bet good money that people that might have, maybe some like repressed trauma or anger issues might, seek solace in said video games where you can go and play, Grand Theft Auto and just wreck everybody, or Cyberpunk, and just have fun with no regard for human life as kind of a catharsis,
Yeah, I
That
can
would
see for
help.
some people they could be kind of therapeutic.
Postal was good for that. Does anybody remember Postal?
I
remember
never
seeing
played
it
but I
advertised.
know of it.
I don't know, but I know in Fallout 3 you have a choice of setting off a bomb to destroy like one of the major settlements, and I can never bring myself to do it.
You don't have the bloodlust for virtual people.
I tend to be kind of a middle ground person. It's like I'll never be full paragon, but I'll never be full renegade either. Like I'll save the orphans from the burning bus, but the guy that side-eyed me, I'll just cut his throat kind of thing, Like it's like I'll if like the truly innocent or decent people, like I'll let them slide. Like I was playing one game and
Ah, crap.
what's wrong?
Troll in chat.
Yeah,
I'll
Spooky
get
got him.
onto it.
Spooky
okay.
took care of it, thanks.
No, me,
But on
I'd
my
save
end.
the kids from the burning bus and then kill them myself.
Okay.
Well, so there was one game I was playing and it was like it was this long quest chain, and at the end, like there's this guy that he's like, look, I'm being forced to do this thing. I really don't want to do it. And you have the option to kill him or to essentially, give him like papers or clearance that would allow him to get off world and essentially save his life. And like he helps you, but he's like, yeah, you're probably not going to live up to your word because you're a Sith. But I let him go. Like I legit let him go because he did me a solid and I gave my word.
He did me a solid.
He did. He did me a solid, and
Why are you saying British things?
I've said that since I was a little girl.
Yeah, I've been
you
using that
so.
pretty much all my life.
Maybe it's a New England thing. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, my family is from Massachusetts, so and that's where I
By
was
the
born.
way, I'm here.
Hello,
Hi,
I
Puddle.
see.
Hello.
Hey,
I see you.
I'm here because I'm a good boy and purple.
I mean that
Purple scares me, and I kind of crossed the streams, so I stopped mine to. I didn't want to.
No, you don't need to be scared of me. Scared
I'm
of people
immensely-
I hire, maybe, but not scared of me.
I'm immensely scared. I'm immensely scared, but here's the thing: I'm happy because when I jumped into this, I see lovely people, and I can see perps and love and Kitty's bottoms, so I'm happy.
I mean, they're kind of blocked by the nameplate, but I can fix that.
Yeah.
No,
Alright.
no, Kitty, I'm being a dick. Don't.
It gets purple more
What
views,
else is new?
so I mean, I'm fine with it.
I'm joking. Oh fuck! Don't make me be big.
No, I was just trying a different layout.
Not gonna lie, I'm a huge fan of Kitty's jigglers.
I
Just
knew
saying.
that was coming.
Yeah, well, one of my highest rated streams was because YouTube picks random thumbnails from the stream. And for one of them, they just happened to pick the moment that Kitty was leaning into the camera.
Yeah.
I wonder why that one got so many more hits.
No idea.
I am perfectly happy and willing to put my body on the line for Purple to get eyeballs to her streams. I think we have lovely conversations here, and that it's, you know, a good thing, like having people see it.
And if you've ever taken a marketing course, you will learn one thing: sex sells.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it does. But I need to.
Oh, hey, Skits. Sadie.
Athena, do you want to finish up this Discord chat bot I've been working on? I mean, all you need to do is just type correct typos and finish up typing in these like final chapters.
I feel bad now. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just gotta get it just right.
You're
There we go.
actually, Kitty, you're awesome.
Honestly,
So are
like
her
I said,
boobs.
You're actually reframing your camera because I said a stupid comment.
yes. You
I'm
are
not
bad
that-
and should feel bad.
I'm not actually that shallow, and hopefully the people that know me will know that.
No, I'm teasing. Honestly, I
know
do
you're
not
fucking
care.
teasing, and I'm honest because I do like Kitty's jiggle. She's got a really good jiggle, and yeah,
well.
there you go. I'm not gonna lie about it. Why would I lie? I enjoy it.
Like there are parts of my and honestly, this is kind of like a therapy thing for me because I am actually incredibly insecure about parts of my body. So like it's
Oh,
kind of like
No, I do.
exposure
no, I feel
therapy.
massively bad.
So you know, like before I had my son, I didn't have any insecurities whatsoever. In fact, I planned on paying for med school as a stripper because I had the background in dance and I was blessed with the assets. So, you know, might as well put it to work because you could make good money as
The literal
a stripper.
assets.
Massive money.
Yes. But you know, with my
Kitty,
disability, that's not possible.
if you
And then
look-
I had my son, and now like I'm very self-conscious about the middle, not so much about the boobs, but the arms and the middle and my thighs. So like from like here down.
Kitty, if you glance to side shot, Spooky made a comment, and it's true. I did literally show my nipples today.
Oh, you naughty.
Yeah. And mine are really tiny, so I've not got the appeal, so I'll never get an OnlyFans for that.
Actually, I think the next time. Sorry.
No, sorry. And I'm not being a perv. You guys know that I'm not a perv. But I think it's artistic how Kitty has the jiggle factor. I just find that really cool.
My nipples are pierced too.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. I actually got it done twice because
Cool.
the first time I let it close up, and then when I went to Vegas,
Okay,
I got it
this
done again as a
interests me.
souvenir.
This fascinates me. Purple,
I knew it would.
perps.
Yeah.
I'm doing that thing where I overtake your stream.
Yeah, mine
So-
are really small too. I wonder if they're going to grow any.
You always do those things. They're
See,
small.
the
I don't
weird
know
thing
you.
about my nipples is they're very pale, so you almost can't see them.
Oh my
Like the
gosh.
areola
Oh,
is
right.
like really, really pale on my breasts. So it's funny. My mom, like, I went to like leave the house one day and I was wearing a top that kind of had like a slight built-in bra, but it was kind of thin. And she was like, "You're not leaving the house in that. I can see the the dark rings of your nipples." And I'm like, "You're full of shit, Mom." And she was like, "Don't talk back to me." And I whipped out my boob and I was like, "You can't, it's flat. Like there is no darkness to it. It melds in with the rest of my boob. Like I had a habit of calling my mom out on her bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Mine are showing through tight t-shirts because, you know, the HR team mentioned that they might be more sensitive. It
Okay.
did not say anything of them staying hard continuously for a year.
No.
I
Hey.
wouldn't know.
They
on
haven't
that
gone
one.
down.
It's got to be annoying.
Before the asexual takes it back to a less risky topic, I just
Oh.
want to say, the next time I go through Ohio after leaving the Indiana border, I think I'm just going to stop and take my shirt off and drive through that way. No one wants to see it, and unfortunately, no one will.
Yeah, I actually have been very tempted to troll the turfs this summer by walking around shirtless until they change the gender marker on all my ID.
Oh, I actually couldn't do it in Indiana, but I can do it in Ohio. Because Ohio changed its law.
Sewell's got his hand up.
Stool.
I need to ask Kitty a question because my ears have perked up.
I'm here. What's that?
Kitty, we all need to make a few bucks here and there. And I think it was with Purple a few hours ago, we were talking about how other people will pay to see certain things. However weird you might think that thing. Purple, do you remember? Ankles.
No,
People
I
would-
heard the stuff about ankles because I was listening to your stream after I left.
People
so
will say, here's the thing, and I'm being very honest with you now, and you'll laugh at me and think I'm a dick, but Kitty,
Well, we always do anyway, so.
I know, love. I love you. I love you so much, my friend.
I love you too, Stool.
Kitty,
Yes, dear.
please don't mess with my head right now, because this is like pants happy material. You said pink. You'll make money. If I had money, that I would pay money for that.
No, it literally like you can't really
Please,
tell the difference. It's all the same color.
No,
It's weird.
no,
It's
no,
weird. It's
no,
not normal.
no.
Oh, there's the.
yeah, heat shield. If I'm not mistaken, dogs have 8. It's either 6 or 8. I haven't counted either.
No.
Well,
Just know an American foxhound holds the litter for the for the largest number, for the largest litter of puppies.
Yep.
Between 8 to 10 nipples on a dog.
Oh, so the number could vary.
Apparently.
Probably by breed.
I
yeah,
would guess
this
so,
over
but
here says between 8 and 10.
I would guess it is by breed. But it just kind of surprises me that that's not the same. Cats
Yeah.
apparently also can vary between 6 and 8.
Okay.
And yeah, actually for cats and probably for a lot of other animals, that kind of tends to indicate the maximum size of the litter.
Oh,
That it's very
Okay.
rare that they will have more
makes
offspring
sense.
than they have nipples for.
I'm a huge fan of nipples.
I
Oh,
think
yeah,
a lot
Mark
of people are.
Well, we don't need to continue talking about that unless we really, really want to.
Okay, yep.
there we are.
Go ahead, Porpoise. You want to pick a new topic?
Do I have a good topic? That's
Carol.
the thing.
Well, it can't be better than boobs.
Well, I have topics I'd be fascinated to discuss, but no one else would be interested in them.
Yeah, you know
I'd
that
probably be
happens to me quite
fascinated
a
by
lot.
before it.
I think it's
Boobs are
called
great.
being. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I think it's called being autistic.
I was actually going to say something to that effect. Yes.
No, I'm a huge fan of boobs. I love boobs. They're fun to play with. They make great pillows.
Yes, and I'm proud of my boobs because it took a lot of work to get them.
I wouldn't mind a decent set. I tell you, the HRT kind of did not do as much as I hoped it would.
Now,
Yeah, well, for me, it's taken a long time, but yeah, the doctors kind of said that just due to the age,
Yeah,
that the younger you start it, the more effect you'll have.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember,
And then I was 52 when I started, so oh boy.
I remember being in like a trans support group once, and someone said it's like, I find that trans men are proud of their scraggly beards, the way trans women are proud of their tiny tits, and I just looked down. It's like,
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay,
Is it-
I find this fact very strange. The female Swiss short-tailed opossum of South America has been recorded by the Guinness Book of Records to have up to 27 nipples.
Damn.
Now,
Why an
okay,
odd number?
yeah, having over 20 is bad enough, but yeah, I had a real question of why there would be an odd number, and I mean, they've got to be asymmetrical then, right? There's got to be one more on one side than the other. I don't think that there's like one planted in the
Maybe
middle.
staggered.
I don't know, and I am not going to look that up.
Yeah, I don't want that on your search history.
Staggered nipples.
Just
Well, I've
saying,
seen-
like, there's some things like, that I will only search for with a VPN engaged
Okay.
and incognito browser just so it doesn't auto-save it.
and on DuckDuckGo.
I don't trust DuckDuckGo, honestly.
Yeah, I don't use DuckDuckGo. I've tried it a couple of times, and I've never been thrilled with it.
I've been using Start Page more.
I mean, problem with using Google or even through Chrome is that it will save your search engine history on its cloud, even in incognito mode. I think unless you tell, I think it'll do it even on other browsers, though.
I use Opera for my
Oh
browser.
my. I haven't
You want
used
Opera?
Opera in a long time.
Yeah. I mostly use Chrome. Occasionally I use Firefox because I found a couple of plugins for Firefox that help with things that Chrome doesn't want to do.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
being able
I
to
use
download
them.
videos from YouTube.
Yeah, I use Mozilla for stuff like that.
Like, honestly, I just like, that Opera GX is really low resource. Like, it's not, like, Chrome is a resource hog.
Yes, it is.
Correct. Yeah.
But
Yes,
Opera
yes.
GX it's meant for like gamers, streamers, it's optimized
Chrome.
for that where they know you're going to be doing other things. So your browser
Chrome
can't be taking
is
too
an
much.
absolute evil piece of shit. So by choice, second not default browser, Edge, which is nice. And then I use Brave as my default browser.
Well, Brave is another Chromium browser.
So is Opera, so is Edge.
Yeah, it is. Big deal. But
I'm not familiar with
it's
Brave.
not doing the things that Chrome browser itself does. If you look into the shenanigans, Chrome itself as a browser is doing a hell of a lot behind the scenes, and Kitty hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I use
it is-
Brave on my other computer.
Chrome is really draining a lot of your resources that you're not aware of.
Well, Chrome believes that any unused memory is wasted memory.
Yeah. I mean, that joke, like I felt that in my gut. That was so spot on. But honestly, I mean, Edge is fine. Like, I have Chrome and
Edge.
I have Edge and I have Opera GX. I just almost always use Opera. There's sometimes I'll go with Chrome just because, like, it has all my passwords saved. So there are certain sites that I'll deal with a resource drain, but I will only be doing that, and then I'm closing it out completely. And then if I'm like watching a video or in a stream while playing a game or whatever, It's Opera GX that I'm using.
I would
Sure.
never recommend anybody to use any kind of browser or any kind of software. It's pointless to give recommendations. However,
Unless it's Linux.
Brave is going to be a lot better for you than most of you will be using Chrome. Let's be honest.
Well,
Yeah, I find
Chrome
find-
is a very evil piece of shit. Use Brave, and honestly, trust me.
well, me
What
you've got
makes
it
it
set
evil
up-
as opposed to?
using Chrome.
Sorry, say
Brave
again.
tends-
Meat essentially forces me into using Chrome.
I find with Brave, I usually have to clear the cache occasionally, or the thing becomes really sluggish.
Oh man, I'll tell you about
I-
sluggish.
that's
Yeah.
That's interesting, Mage, because I've not got that problem.
It could just be my
Ow.
computer. It's an old computer, so
Stop knocking stuff off the refrigerator.
Like I say, I would never ever recommend anybody to use this piece of software rather than that, because
What?
it never works. We all have different circumstances. For me, Brave is the best browser. Chrome
Sorry.
Chrome is a massive Chrome is a massive pile of fucking evil.
Yeah.
What makes
It
it
really
evil,
is.
not just bad?
The number of things that Chrome is doing that you're not wanting
Well,
it to do.
Yeah, Chrome is notorious for tracking everything you do.
As a technical person, let me see if I can explain a little bit better than he seems to be doing. What he's trying to get at is something that's been a problem with a lot of companies, and Edge is doing the same thing because Microsoft is trying to catch up, is a lot of these companies make a lot of their money off data collection. So they're collecting a lot of data in the background.
All right.
People
And Chrome's the worst offender at the moment.
It's
that
one of
was
the
that-
worst.
That was actually quite patronising. So I've installed Windows more times than most of you have been alive for. So I understand secrecy and privacy and all that kind of stuff and telemetry. Brave, in my opinion, take it or leave it, is the best browser that you can have. But
It depends
you
on your
also have-
criteria.
But you also have to have your Windows 10, which I'm going to assume you people are using, also set up with admin privileges and so forth.
I use Linux, but I'm unusual.
Yay, Linux.
Well, you can't use Linux for everything. It is good, though.
It is. Oh, I dearly love. I've been using it for 23 years, so
Yeah.
obviously I kind of like it.
And yet nothing works for you. But I've been playing with Chrome OS, and I'm kind of liking it because it's fun. I like to have a bit of fun and play with different OSs. And Chrome OS is actually really fucking nice. Very
I
nice.
still have an old laptop that I use for backup and when I'm traveling. And I think that with each new version of Chrome, it seems to get worse and worse. I probably should go and put Opera on that, since it's doesn't have the resources they're expecting every computer to have now.
maybe I should
There
switch to Opera on my old computer until I replace it.
They're all alternatives that are pretty much the same thing, but still a lot of it's just Google itself and what Google relies on to make its money. And I probably wouldn't use Windows 10 at all if I didn't play video games on a PC. And as good as SteamOS has gotten, like I can see at least half of my games on my Steam library can now be played on Linux. Half of them still can't.
Uh-huh.
Unless
You can actually have SteamOS as your main OS on your PC, and it's looking pretty groovy.
Oh,
It works very nicely.
I'd say it didn't work. I said a lot of the games still require Windows.
No, I said no. it's working very nicely. It's a very nice OS. So you could have Steam OS as your main OS on your PC, and it works very nicely.
Okay.
But what does that
opinions
mean?
on opinions on Vivaldi.
Vivaldi is just another Chrome variant, essentially.
I'm gonna have to get my laptop out. I'm gonna have to lie down.
Yeah, well, the laptop I have is so old, but the tech guys, said that it could run Windows 10, but they weren't advising it, so it's still running Windows 8.
I'm probably unless SteamOS and Wine start working a lot better together than they have. And like I said, it's pretty good, even with Wine, but there are still games that just do not run very well under SteamOS yet. They're working on it.
I never had luck.
Well, I probably play a lot more games. Well, I don't know, mate. Do I play more games than you do?
I think just about anybody plays more games than I do.
Trust me, I'm
Everyone
Linux
probably
Plus
plays-
certified. I'm not going to say Linux is bad.
But I never had luck with Wine. I could never get anything to work right.
Really got Red Alert to run under it. Slowly, but it ran.
Okay.
That would be called walking.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is it's an emulation layer, and
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
not using the Windows libraries natively. It's translating a lot of the Windows libraries to OpenGL libraries.
Yeah, about the most reassuring message I have ever seen from Windows is now every time it tries to do an update, it says this computer is not capable of running Windows 11.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
you can change that if you just turn off something in the registry, but I don't like messing around with the registry.
Oh my.
I would not want to change that. Actually, from what I'm hearing, yeah, Windows 11 has some serious issues.
What sort of issues?
Let's go into
Just a lot of things that were still optional in 10
Come here, you.
are mandatory in 11. That you can't prevent it from doing things. And that's what I hate most about Windows 10 is I don't want my computer doing anything that I didn't tell it to.
I also don't
Sorry.
like
Anti-consumer stuff.
I also don't like the switch over to try to force you onto cloud-based platforms. It's like, no, the cloud is good for some things, but it's just someone else's computer.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I don't, the only advantage I see to the cloud is you can have stuff there that you might want to use on your desktop computer and you might want to access on your mobile devices.
It's also good for offsite backup for non-critical stuff. I think, excuse me.
Yeah, good. They're good for sharing stuff, but I try and avoid having my stuff backed up on the cloud.
Yeah, as far as backups, I'm just sticking with having an external drive that I can unplug from the computer.
Well,
Same
Mark
here.
Sharp. That's probably that's one of the problems with a cell phone. If you want to stop that, one of the things you can do is have a flip phone and not use all the smart services you get on your cell phone, or just try to make sure your microphone is off and you actually go through the process of closing all your apps on Android, because Google tends to leave them open for data collection purposes. Like, a lot of people are surprised I won't have an Alexa in my house because I have a cell phone. And it's not that I trust Google with my data, it's just,
Redundant.
well, until we get the laws passed that disallow certain types of data collection, because let's face it, some data collection is useful to us.
Mm.
We're going to need a cell phone, and we're going to have to just take risks. We're just going to have to say, all right, we can limit the companies we give our data to, And one of the ways to do that is just like it's like I'm just going to use Amazon on my computer, and I'm not going to have any devices where Amazon can collect sound data from me.
Do you think having the laws changed so that it has to be opt-in, like you can't make a product where it's opt-out to not use their spying services, that has to be opt-in would work? Or
The thing is, a lot of the people we have passing these laws do not understand technology.
No, that's for sure.
And they'll listen to entirely the wrong people. Or, as is the case with Ajit Pai, they'll just do what he wants to anyway because he's a Verizon shill.
Oh,
Sorry, that's getting into politics. I really didn't like Ajit Pai.
Yeah, you've got two things going on here because we don't all live on the same continent. So America, when it comes to data, is an opt-out society. The rest of the world is an opt-in. So me, as a European, you can't take my data unless I tell you to take my data. Whereas you, as an American, you have to say no.
And they also need to pass the law so it's not okay to annoy people. Like, I don't need to be asked every time because of some European law that I need to make sure my cookie settings are the way they want it every time. It's like, just take the ones I took last time.
So is that a really big drain on your life that you have to click a thing?
It is for me.
So you have to click a thing and you literally spend 24 hours of your life stressing about it.
But it's every site does that, even ones that are in Europe, just because of European law.
So you literally stay awake for 24 hours a day stressing about having to click one fucking thing.
No, it's an irritation. Unnecessary irritation.
Yeah, that takes you like a millisecond to get over.
It's a lot
Still
easier.
An irritation.
It's a lot easier just to program it so it doesn't do it in the first place. They had to add programming.
But you're literally pretending to get stressed about this.
What?
Pretending.
Annoyed, irritation. We're not saying that we're like breaking down an emotional.
Get outraged about it for something that you can.
That's
click.
enough.
Seriously, grow up.
Well, if anything's running in background when you're not using it, it's probably just collecting data on you and reporting it back to the company.
Yeah, moo.
Yeah, I try to click off on the cookies, although on some sites, especially news sites, it's like if you don't accept the cookies, they won't let you see anything else on the site.
Yeah. And what I can't stand is when they put the window over everything to where they're asking for your email.
Yeah. I'm more annoyed by the stuff actually on the mobile devices because, just it's like on the cell phone, anytime it powers down, when I turn it back on, I have to go through the list and I have to disable about 20 apps that I know I will never use and would have never put on there.
Okay.
Is that a stealth install? I know I don't really like that when I download things from software sites that might be useful when they add apps I didn't ask for. Like, I don't know how many times I've removed the Weather Channel app.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's like there's 2 news apps that loads up every time it restarts. It's like I don't need to watch the news on my cell phone. I don't really like the cell phone to begin with, but it's becoming more and more that, there are places that you can barely go shopping if you don't have the app on your cell phone.
I haven't run into that yet, but I suppose I will.
Well, I've had to install the Amazon app on my cell phone because it's now required if you want to return something.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, 2-factor authentication. it's done for security reasons. And one of the major reasons we do it is because biometrics aren't that good yet. Plus, they're expensive to add on to most things. But the assumption that everyone is going to have a cell phone is just a false assumption in the first place. And wasn't it Vice Drino, I think, who just had a situation where some service in Canada went out and he couldn't get back because it required two-factor authentication?
Yeah, I don't get the two-factor authentication either. And like I was trying to drop off a return for Sloth Girl. So I need to get on the Amazon site for the QR code. I need to get on under her account. So then it sends an authentication code to her phone, which first of all was a pain in the ass. And second of all, would have done nothing for security if someone had found her phone and was in her account because they had her phone.
Yeah.
So it's like it was completely pointless, and it just made things more complicated than they needed to be.
Well, I get the impression that it's rather the way you describe the transportation safety thing, too. It gives you the appearance of security, but not much else.
Yep, security theater.
Yeah.
It is actually more secure. It's just, if you ever take a cybersecurity class, one of the principles you're going to learn is that security can't be so complicated that people won't bother with it. And two-factor authentication is just at the point where it's not that complicated, but it's just a nuisance. And most of the time, I just don't want to bother with it.
Yeah, no, my Google account keeps trying to tell me I need to turn it on. It's like, no. Because the only thing that needs to access that account is my home computer, which will never leave this room. So the only way anyone's going to have access to it is if they're sitting where I'm sitting now. And if they're sitting in my apartment without my permission, I've got a much bigger problem than them getting into my YouTube account.
Yep.
Well, people can hack your account.
Yeah.
Because I remember Cirrus the Skeptic had a problem a couple of years ago.
See, now that would be a useful security thing. That why can't I set it up so that it can only be accessed from this computer and nowhere else? Or they do the two-factor authentication if I'm trying to access it from some other device.
Geofencing for Google logins. I wonder why they don't offer that for things like YouTube accounts. Probably because it's hard to implement.
Well, they could just put a digital certificate on the home computer that the computer has to upload, couldn't it?
Well, kind of like what Steam just did to me. It just I had to put in a code since I haven't logged into it from this computer before.
Well, that's still two-factor authentication, but they don't require you to have a cell phone.
No, I was thinking just having a system where, like, if you make an account and you say, I want this to be my home computer, so I don't have to have two-factor authentication on it, then it sends you some sort of security thing so that you can sign it or something every time automatically, rather than having to do.
You could tie it to a hardware address, but hardware address can be spoofed.
So having a certificate on the actual hard drive itself would be too insecure?
I don't know. I'd have to look into that.
I'm guessing to use Steam, I'm going to have to install this, do the install Steam thing. I've actually never used Steam. I signed up for the account, but I never used it.
Steam is one of those things. Steam is one of those things that annoys me because I can see it's taking up a lot of system resources when it's just sitting in background and I'm not using it. So it's like, why does it need to be running continuously 24 hours a day?
I definitely shut it down.
Why can't I just log off and shut it down until I want to play a game?
Actually, Heat Shield brings up an interesting point. Oh, let me mute myself.
The reason... Oh, God, I'm going to get so annoyed now. The reason... Steam does not have to be running 24 hours a day. It's a service. You can stop that service and stop it from starting at boot time. Also, 2FA is a massive pain in the ass. A
You can
complete
stop
pain in
it
the
from
ass.
running in boot. You can stop it running at boot time, but you load up one game, it starts, and then the only way I found to stop it again is to go through the task manager. Otherwise, it
Okay.
does not shut down when I leave the games.
Okay, what I'll do for you sexy people, I'll send you a link to download something that will make your head not hurt. It's a Microsoft thing, it's official, don't worry. And it will stop, and it will tell you what the frig is running that should not be running at boot time.
It's
And
a
you can just-
Microsoft thing. Don't worry. That sounds an awful lot like we're from the government. We're here to help you.
Yeah, because, Bill Gates is going to inject us with the 5G. Yeah.
No, he's not going to inject us with 5G, but he is going to grab all the data he can on me and try to sell it for whatever he can get.
Well,
Yep.
Bill Gates.
It's really very easy to make your version of Windows not send your data to whoever you don't want it to be sent to. It's very fucking easy.
Okay,
It
what was
really-
Porpoise saying?
It really is. It's not difficult.
Porpoise.
I'll let Petal finish. I want to hear what he's saying because maybe, Microsoft has changed since Bill Gates has left. I still don't trust it, but I trust Bill Gates even less because of his history.
Yeah. No offense, but tinfoil. I don't do the tinfoil.
Maybe you just don't know his history.
Yeah, that's tinfoil.
Well, I know you can shut off stuff, on Windows reporting stuff back, but I don't really trust that it's not reporting anything back.
I'm currently listening to a video on how to prevent programs running in the background on Windows 10. So I'm seeing if this will work. Oh, you have to go through system config.
Okay, I'm not even clear on what cloud copy is, so clearly this is more settings. I don't know where they're at.
Well, the main problem with Steam is its use for digital rights management.
Oh,
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm really not a big fan of the tinfoil, so I'm out.
Okay.
I'm confused.
Yeah, I didn't quite get that either. I don't think it's tinfoil to say that most of the companies that try to keep stuff going on your computer are tracking you.
I think he thought I thought Bill Gates was the 5G thing, and it was like when I was pointing out he has a history of, first of all, he did actually stop the COVID vaccine from being open sourced. He may have had good reasons to do that, especially when you look up the Cutter incident, especially since we hadn't really open sourced vaccines, but we've done that now and it's working all right. I'm sure there are going to be some problems, but it's working. And secondly, I don't think he knows Bill Gates has a history of trying to undermine open source money because that's how he made his wealth.
Yeah, he's the one who started kicking off the whole thing about copyright with software by complaining about people copying software when it was just common practice at the time.
Not just him, Steve Jobs too.
Oh, I can believe that. But Bill Gates was as far as I know, was the very first one. Like he wrote a letter in some newsletter or something.
Matt, I think maybe I came off a little too rough. I didn't want to get too heated, and I still need to work on trying to de-escalate. But
I think it was being unreasonable.
Oh, still unreasonable.
Yeah,
Never.
I don't think anyone was getting into the tinfoil there.
I mean, yeah, but I can understand a person like being sensitive to that just because like a lot of people have died because of people believing in baseless conspiracy theories. So like I can understand it being like a trigger point for someone. You know, just playing devil's advocate here. I don't think that anybody did anything wrong or that
Yeah.
anybody said anything bad. Just
Well,
I get that it can be a trigger point for some.
well, I mean, the whole Alex Jones thing is all about, what happens when somebody claims it's a conspiracy, and
Yeah. No, but I don't know. Still, to me, seem to be straw manning everything that we were trying to express.
It's okay. Like I said, I probably could learn to de-escalate a little bit better, and I think it's just two very stubborn people. And I
don't know. It made me very grumpy.
that's okay. Well, he may have been getting tired too, and that would be adding to it because, it's like 5 a.m. where he is, and he's been up all night. He had just been doing his own stream before this, so he had been streaming for like 4 hours before I started.
I'll try the suggestions in that video there to see if it maybe will help you with Steam.
You're on mute, Pulpus.
Oh, on the private chat, okay.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to know what the program was, because not everything Microsoft does is bad either.
Well, I know not everything Microsoft does is bad, but I'm going to assume it is until proven otherwise.
That's the safest way to go.
If bad by bad you mean tracking, I think that's a fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like tracking your data, sharing it with third parties, that kind of thing.
actually,
That should be the default assumption of every company that produces software these days.
My biggest gripe with Microsoft is that it tries to force you to do things. It does not like giving you options to do things. And then I think most of their stuff is badly overpriced too.
Oh,
Visual Studio is free if you're open source, using it for open source or learning purposes, but there are much better compilers out there. And it's a very slow running program for what it does. On the other hand, it's a lot easier for new people to master, especially if they're used to Windows, than trying to learn how to use the development environment in Linux.
I'm carrying silver and it hurts. You get a debuff when carrying silver. You also can't walk in the sunlight or you will catch on fire.
Ooh.
And you get a debuff for garlic too.
Diva?
And holy. Holy causes like a radiation damage. Like if you go to like a monastery or something.
Okay, do they address the question about the cross? Does that only work on vampires if you were Christian before you became a vampire?
It's not like it's like a holy symbol, but it doesn't look like a traditional cross. I think it's more just like, the infused power of a holy symbol,
So it could be like a crescent, but if it's been infused with the right magic, then...
Yeah, because magic exists in this game. Like, you use magic. Like, you can you have to defeat bosses to get the powers, but you can shapeshift into a wolf, a bat, a frog, a bear. Like when you're carrying silver, it depends on how much you're carrying. Like, I'm carrying a lot right now because I need it for crafting. So I have 34 stacks of silver sickness. So I'm taking damage over time right now, which sucks.
Well, I suppose for a vampire, carrying the silver is about the equivalent if we were carrying something radioactive.
Yeah.
Speaking of good things Microsoft has done, Microsoft's edition, which doesn't use Java for Minecraft, is actually much more resource efficient than the Java version.
Luckily, I've got potions that will heal me over time to kind of compensate for the damage over time. So that helps. But for reference, silver stacks up to 200, and I have 5 full 200 stacks, and then a 130 stack of ore. So it's a lot of silver. And I also have 32 silver coins, which you use for you get a human form, like a human shapeshift that you get, and you can use that and then silver coins, and you can actually buy items from wandering merchants. And how you get the human transmutation is fucking hilarious. There's this chick called Beatrice the Tailor that looks kind of like Grandma in Little Red Riding Hood, and she just keeps running away from you, and she's like, dearie me, my legs, carry me, like, goodness gracious, and she's really obnoxious, and I really wanted to kill her, and I've killed her a couple of times just for the lulz.
I've heard other people play this game, but sorry, my prejudice against vampires means I won't play it. I don't like playing as a vampire.
It sounds like a fun game, but I doubt I'll ever play it.
I love anything to do with vampires. Just about. Not a huge fan of sparkle pyres, but those aren't real vampires.
Oh
so.
God, no.
Okay, what was Empire Rising, was it? Or what
V
was
Rising. Like, it is a V for vampire, but it is just the letter V Rising. And again, the game is under $20. It's on sale right now, like 10% off, so it's 18 instead of 20.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things, like, you can set up your own private server and make the game a little bit easier, where the debuffs don't hit you quite as hard, and make it a more relaxing experience, which is what I am doing. Like, the only reason I can carry this much silver and not die is because I have the damage multiplier from the debuff like lowered. Just because, like, I'm treating this kind of like just Minecraft, because you can build your castle however you want it and run around collecting resources, killing things, and just having fun playing a vampire. And I'll make a character on like one of the live servers, probably a PvE server, because I'm not big on PvP in games like this, like just personal preference. And yeah, like, just kind of relax. But this is my private server, is just my happy, chill, relaxed place.
That reminds me, I need to
Sweet.
get some. I need to get some mods for Ark so I can breed my army to attack dodos much faster.
Yeah, this is kind of like Ark with vampires.
The castle building thing sounds interesting.
Attack dodos?
So you can ride horses. You can actually come across horses and commandeer them. Actually, you know what? Chris's castle is closer, so I think I'm gonna go there and turn this silver into dark silver, because then it'll stop hurting me, because my castle's on the other side of the map. So I'm just gonna go borrow his forge.
Both Ark and its successor game, Atlas, which is Ark with pirates and no dinosaurs,
Yeah.
basically have a mechanic that lets you do artificial selection experiments. So you can create
nice.
animals for certain stats, but it takes a long time to do anything in these games.
I've seen a lot of stuff on YouTube, like playthroughs of Ark and that, and Sloth Girl's son plays it, but I haven't tried it.
Basically, I think Ark is what Fallout 76 tried to be.
This is basically like, Atlas is Ark with pirates, this is Ark with vampires. In the PvP realm, like you do, like there'll be soul shards and only one of each type will spawn, and then you have to, like, it's kind of end game, I have the biggest dick on the server kind of thing, because you go grab it and then you have to defend it. Like your castle could be attacked and have it taken from you. If you're into PvP, that, like, it can get crazy. But me, I'm the PvE, just chill, have fun building shit, and just, you know, minding my own business.
Not really interested in PvP.
You already said why I'm not interested in PvP, because just like PvE and MMORPGs, it turns into a biggest virtual dick contest.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really don't like playing games with strangers. You know, actually, most of the stuff I have on Steam is so that Sloth Girl and I can play games with my brother and his wife who are in a different state.
Cool. What is ARK short for something?
No,
Just Ark.
it's the name of
ARK or ARC?
ARK. Like,
Right.
think Noah's Ark, kind of.
Yep.
Basically, you wake up on this weird alien world with dinosaurs and a bunch of extinct creatures.
ARK Survival Evolved.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
But
Like I
Like I
said,
said,
I've
I
used
have
the-
Ark and I have Atlas. I just haven't, you know, or I should say, I don't have Ark. I have Atlas. I also have New World, which I haven't really played. Like, it was gifted to me, and like I played it during the beta, because like you got beta access if you bought the game, and a friend of mine bought me the game and we played together during the beta. I just haven't gone back to it because I haven't had a lot of time for gaming, and that's one of those live server type games where I have to really worry about my shit getting fucked with, you know. And server wipes, which I'm not a fan of games that have server wipes.
for crafting games that are public, I kind of like them because it lets you redo things, be a bit more creative, try new things, and it also, just after a while, games like 7 Days to Die or Minecraft will just become unstable and you have to wipe it.
Do you know why they become unstable? Is it just bugs or?
Well, it's 7 Days to Die in both Minecraft. It has to do with the way the block system in the game, because 7 Days to Die in Minecraft, essentially.
Mhm.
Although they're not the same engine at all, they're very much clones of each other as far as their crafting systems are concerned. And you're building blocks in each game.
Yep. Too much memory, perhaps.
Too much memory. Much memory that isn't getting filled, and too much time. Taking too much time to render things is the main problem in 7 Days to Die.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I can't go by the acronyms. I need the name spelled out for me, because, you know, I just don't play a lot of online games.
I don't play a lot of games, although I'd like to get Windows installed on my machine so that I can play more. Start playing games again.
I'm sure I'm the only one who's excited for the next Fallout 76 expansion.
I've never played it.
It was really bad to start because it was just so depressing and dark, because there were no NPCs and you're just going through and hearing all these stories of people that had died.
Yeah, that does sound like it would be depressing.
But then after people complained, and eventually Bethesda added NPCs and added new storylines. They brought the Brotherhood of Steel back, one of the major Fallout expansions or Fallout factions. And I would like to see them bring other factions that were early in the game back. Like, I think the First Responders dying out is probably good for their storyline. But I think the Free Staters probably should have figured out, it's like, we can't stay here, let's leave. So I suspect we'll probably see them in the new one that takes place in Pennsylvania, called The Pit.
Oh my.
What's unique about? Go on.
Sorry. Go ahead.
What's unique about Pennsylvania that makes it an interesting environment.
It's my home state.
I was just wondering from a design perspective, like the game developer perspective.
I don't know. An underground fire they expect to burn for the next 300 years is kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
They won't be in that area of the state for this one. That would be an interesting thing to see in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, though.
It would be.
Well,
I think that Pennsylvania does lend itself kind of more to the post-apocalyptic thing, just because they had a lot of very early industry before we had things limiting how much you could pollute.
Right.
Shamokin, Pennsylvania, or most of the anthracite coal regions is a good example of why you need some regulation.
Yep.
I get most of my information about places in America from TV, and Pennsylvania doesn't pop up that often.
Yeah.
If you want to look up what they were talking about, there are a couple documentaries on YouTube about a town called Centralia.
I know about that, the ground burning thing. I just meant Pennsylvania in general.
Well, Pennsylvania was also, I think, where like the first oil well in the U.S. was drilled.
Yes, indeed.
So
the feel of it is really
had
old industry.
Yeah, they had 100 years of pollution from the oil industry before anybody realized that maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Interesting.
And let's see, Pennsylvania is better than Ohio. Not by much, but it is better.
It's a major hotbed of fracking right now as well.
Yeah, I'm not exactly pleased about that, but oh well.
And Chef Boyardee is my hometown's most famous resident.
Say again, hon?
Chef Boyardee is my hometown's most famous resident.
Oh, okay.
I love that he legit changed the spelling of his last name just so people would say it right.
Yeah.
He was a proud Italian and he wanted Americans to pronounce it correctly.
No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I think it's fucking brilliant. It gives me a chuckle. It's one of those funny, haha things that makes me laugh.
I wasn't disagreeing, but it's like, that's why he did it. He was a proud Italian and he wanted to make sure people pronounced his name correctly.
I mean, my grandmother's maiden name was Bovenzi, so pretty fucking Italian.
Well, because we were pronouncing the Pennsylvania Dutch wrong, we completely got wrong what country they came from.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was supposed to be the Pennsylvania Deutsch. They were German.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, the word for the dialect is Deutsche, which doesn't clarify it at all. But I just have to wonder, if World War I, World War II had not happened, would I be able to actually speak that now?
Well, yeah, they did pretty much try to erase everything German-related from the country.
Amish and Buller Mennonites still speak it, but the fancy Dutch do not.
I hate that tendency of humans doing the same sort of thing with Russia now as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could go on about it, but it's I just want to see how they're going to do this, because Fallout 76, actually, if you've ever grew up in any area where the Appalachians are, it pretty much looks like how you would expect the Appalachians to look, that was affected by a nuclear holocaust, but not too deeply affected. They've got the geography right.
Well, it makes sense that a sparsely populated mountain region would be less affected.
Yes.
Oh, good night, Brian.
Athena, what are you doing?
I have Kitty using my ankle for a pillow again.
There.
No, Kitty looks like she's leaning in front of the camera.
Well, we had several reports of cattails popping up, so. Although we had a skeptic there who doesn't necessarily believe there was a cat there. That the tail alone is not sufficient evidence.
Could be convergent evolution.
Are we talking about my cat's tendency to show its tail?
Well,
I think it probably was yours that was popping up there.
I think that's just camera positioning. There is a cat there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to tell because
Oh, crazy cat
YouTube
lady
has
doesn't tell too.
yeah, YouTube has a more serious lag tonight than usual, so I can't always quite connect what the people in the side chat are connecting to what we're saying.
Sorry, Athena. But people are saying you don't exist.
No. Is Athena currently in the state of existing and not existing, or is that only when you put her in a box?
She's not Schrodinger's cat.
mm,
Oh, okay. Bite my hand. Okay, I deserve that.
Now, see, Schrodinger's cat is wondering if anyone outside the box still exists.
Must
I
be.
just got my little tiny doot doot. Like
Okay,
it's a very soft.
we've got a kitty head in Porpoise's view and a kitty tail in Lavender's. And in my view, Kitty is sitting between them. So that's, you've got
Yes.
like a Doxodown kitty.
Long cat.
Yeah,
If you don't want to do that, you can go.
I'm
Well,
going to enjoy.
I've heard of a
one
polecat, but that's not quite what they meant.
these. Andy's
Wait.
mints. I love these things.
There you go.
My favorite part of the Olive Garden meal was the Andy's mints at the end.
Yum.
Yeah, I love those too.
Why does chocolate mint taste so good? Why does that combination taste
I
so
don't know, but it works.
Yeah, I'm the same.
like chocolate and pretzels, or like pretzels and ice cream? That combination is good too.
I got Hershey chocolate flavored Twizzlers.
I would prefer black licorice when it comes to that, but I'm kind of
No, not black licorice. Bad
I love black.
bad licorice. No.
I'm very fond of chocolate coated caramels, especially the sea salt caramel.
Sea
Oh.
salt caramel is very good.
If I were to offer
Delicious.
you, Jägermeister, you wouldn't take it.
No, because that's beer. I don't drink beer.
Yeah, well,
No, Jaeger's liquor.
I know I've had Jaeger. I know I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's a very strong taste for sure.
black licorice flavored.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
That sounds lovely.
No,
It has that very strong anise flavor. Yes.
no, I definitely do not like the anise.
Interesting, the marigold petals made into a tea has almost a licorice flavor.
But since we're talking about things that go with chocolate, when I was shopping yesterday, I found some dark chocolate with pomegranate, and I'm not familiar with this brand, so I don't know if these are going to be any good yet.
oh, sounds like it could be tasty.
Is it Brookside or?
No, I think it was the Brookside that I had years ago, and that's why I really liked the chocolate and pomegranate. But
Me too.
what the
Or the
hell?
chocolate and acai is really good too.
I don't even know if I've eaten pomegranate, let alone chocolate pomegranate.
This one is Chocer, Choceur.
Yeah, well, I know I wouldn't eat that, but I'm a picky eater.
Well, I love pomegranate.
Pomegranate is pretty good.
Part of it's because it's a seasonal thing, so it's always been a special treat for me. And it's something I don't have a lot of childhood memories, but it is something that I remember. Like, walking up to what was essentially the farmer's market in the 70s and being able to get pomegranates.
I love pomegranates. It's so much work, but they're so good. It's like that perfect balance of sweet and tart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like too. I like pomegranates and I like citrus. I like things that have the tart or the sour edge with them.
You like acid?
I
Well,
mean,
citric acid.
sometimes I'll make homemade gummies for my son, and I actually have citric acid. I use it for making his bath bombs because bath bombs are made with a combination of Epsom salt, citric acid, and baking soda, and then like an oil, like coconut oil to help, bind it, and a little bit of water, and then some type of scent. And so I'll make him bath bombs sometimes. Though I gotta find the molds. I don't know what happened to them. And then I also, use the citric acid when making homemade gummies.
So what do you end up with foaming bath water, basically?
Yeah, basically. So
Okay.
you have to mix it just right. Otherwise it'll kind of fizz up and it won't work when you put it in the bath. But you take your Epsom salt and your baking soda and citric acid and your oil, like usually coconut oil works really well. And then your scents, something like skin safe for fragrance. And you mix that all together, maybe add a couple of drops of food coloring. And then you have to add a little bit of water just to get it the right consistency, but you're adding it a few drops at a time so you don't trigger the reaction.
Yeah.
And then when you put the bath bomb in the water, the water basically triggers the reaction between the citric acid and the baking soda.
Okay. Sounds
And
reasonable.
yeah, and then you end up with a fizzy thing in the bath that it'll color the water. It adds Epsom salt, which is nice on your skin, and a little bit of coconut oil and a scent. So you have a nice smelling bath that leaves your skin really soft at the end.
Yeah, I miss having a bath. I only have a shower here.
Okay, then.
I don't
Well,
know why.
Hmm?
Sorry, go ahead.
One thing I want to do is I want to make a foot soak. My feet are extremely dry, and I'd like to see if I couldn't find a recipe for a foot soak and then just have my feet in there while I'm working on the machine.
Honestly, like there are some products that like I have had issues with incredibly dry like skin where like my heels will like crack, they can get so dry. And there are
Yes,
some
that's what
products
happened
that
here.
I will use that actually work really, really well. There was this one heel balm I used, I can't remember, but then my dad told me try O'Keefe's. They have a hand cream and they have a foot cream. That stuff works amazingly well. It's relatively inexpensive and it works really well. My dad's feet, you could literally sand wood with his heels. They get so
Yep.
bad.
Uh-huh.
I
But
used the O'Keefe's hand cream when I was working outside in the winter because my hands would get so dried out they'd crack.
but the O'Keefe's for the foot is chef's kiss. It does a really good job of softening everything up. So a combination of that and a file, and then just soaking with Epsom salt, should clear it up.
Can you put a link for the stuff? Or
You can just get it at Walmart or Target. It's just
O'Keefe's?
O'Keefe's. OKEEF.
Yeah, I
apostrophe
think
S.
I've seen the name out there.
Yeah, you can get it at most stores.
I've seen it at Walmart.
I know Target sells it and Walmart sells it, and Amazon as well, if you don't want to go out into the world.
And Meyer sells it in the Midwest.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's relatively inexpensive. It works really well. Get that with some Epsom salt and a foot file, and you'll do good. Soak your foot first, and then file it to get some of the worst of it off, and then put the O'Keeffe's on, preferably with a nice pair of socks on top so that it doesn't like rub off as you're walking around, just to kind of help keep that moisture in close to the skin. And Walmart actually sells aloe infused socks that are meant for when you have really dry feet. So you're supposed to put lotion on and then put the socks on, and it helps keep the lotion in contact with your skin, and the socks are infused with aloe.
Yeah, I've seen the aloe.
Actually, I was going to say the best thing to do was just put the O'Keeffe's on when you go to bed at night and put socks
That
on
too.
over them.
Yeah.
Where
I
are
know-
they?
Does
In
it
the
put-
socks department or in the beauty aids department?
I usually see them over by like where the lotions and stuff are, like in like the
Okay.
health and beauty section
Yeah.
Okay.
in my Walmart.
Yeah, I know
And
somebody
they're
who has,
only like $2 or $3. Like they're relatively inexpensive. I mean, yeah, it's $2 or $3 for a single pair of socks, but you know, it serves a purpose. And I can't say much. My socks, I have to not custom order, but I have to special order my socks because I wear thigh highs, because anything rubbing against my leg hurts, and getting a sock up to my thighs helps so that my pants aren't rubbing against the skin of my leg. And my socks are like $15 a pair. So
Why socks as
Yeah.
opposed to tights?
honestly, because I don't like dealing with tights when I have to get up to go to the bathroom, and if I rip a
Yeah.
hole in the crotch to make it easier, it's less sanitary, and also
Yeah.
it's going to lessen the length of time the tights will last. Plus, socks
Yeah.
are thicker than tights, and you know, less prone to snagging.
yeah, I know somebody who has gets dry hands so badly they crack and start bleeding. So maybe you'll give them
Yeah.
get them
Well,
some of that
that's what
stuff,
I
see if
get
it
when I
helps.
work outside in the winter.
Yeah, my
hands
dad
get so
swears by
dry
the
until
stuff,
the ends
and
of my fingers crack open.
Yeah, the only thing that the only thing
Yeah,
I've seen them use that they said worked was the Johnson & Johnson and bee balm stuff, but they changed the formula, so it doesn't work anymore.
Oh, I don't know about these people.
I don't know. I personally enjoyed the Buzz Lightyear animation movie. I don't know.
I haven't seen it.
It's on Disney Plus if you have it. I don't know. It was okay.
That's why I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Not really interested.
we've got Disney. I should look it up just to see, but so far my only reference for it is the Lego sets they released for it.
I haven't even seen all the Toy Story movies yet.
I
Which is something
mean,
I should
you're not
get
in the
around
target
to.
demographic, so that makes sense.
But the Buzz is so horrible. There's a homo kiss on it. Horrible,
Like
horrible.
you'd think that they're fucking talking about like a fucking 2-minute long makeout session when it's a
Yeah,
very chaste
yeah.
kiss.
So what, 2 seconds? Maybe not even that.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
even.
I
you
literally
see
don't
hetero
think it's a
kisses
full
that are way
second.
more. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it is a very quick, chaste kiss.
I really didn't mean to disrupt that quickly.
Right,
I want
so-
to go back to talking to O'Keeffe's. Go ahead. I was just trying to fill time, but yeah, it was just. I
You
think
might
most of
mistake it
it,
for a
Just
friend.
blink and you miss it.
and I think a lot of it was there's a relationship where they have a child. That isn't even really the focus of the movie because of time dilation, which is one of the few bits of science they get right. Buzz keeps skipping forward.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because he's trying to, get to light speed or whatever, and yeah,
Beyond.
time gets timey-wimey shenanigans.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Yes. You were picking up what I was putting down. I see you.
Oh, boy.
I gotta dodge the sun and not burn. Just another day for me.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, well,
Here,
I was gonna
Mage.
let you live, but now you
Thanks.
just fucking shot an arrow at me, so you have to die.
I wonder if 7 Days to Die is ever going to have a mod where you can play as a zombie. Probably exists, but
It's like I have no problem letting people like villagers and shit live. until they fucking like shoot an arrow at me or like come at me. It's like, well, you fucked up.
Yeah, that's pretty much my policy. Is I'm okay until you take a swing at me.
I mean, unless I need to eat, and like, I mean,
Should come to
birds,
arrangement with the
fish gotta
villagers where
swim, birds gotta fly, vampires gotta eat.
Yeah.
should come to arrangement with the villagers so that they sacrifice one of their people to you every month or something.
Yeah,
don't
or
know
I'll
why-
just find people that piss me off and then I'll throw them in my dungeon and make them eat rats.
I don't know why this is making me think of it, but who remembers the first season of Castlevania? The Netflix anime.
I haven't seen it. Sorry.
Yeah, didn't
I don't
watch
want to spoil it for you. If you have Netflix, you should watch it.
I saw it and I very much enjoyed it. Well, now you need to die too. Again, I was going to just walk right by, but you
Well,
had to
these
try me.
chocolate pomegranate things are pretty good.
Well, I'm
Basically, the inside part is it's kind of like a very soft jelly candy with that's made with pomegranate juice.
Sounds good.
Tasty.
Yeah, so you've got a soft jelly candy covered with dark chocolate. It works.
All I'm going to say
Seems-
is, even though Dracula's the villain, he's also the victim.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, to be fair, like, it's the very first part of the first episode that you find out, like, what happened. So it's like, it's not really, if it happens in the first episode, in the opening of the first episode, I don't really consider it much of a spoiler. But yes, I absolutely agree that Dracula is very much like, he's a bad guy. Like he's kind of an asshole with what he decides to do, but I understand why he's doing it.
I should have muted myself on that one.
No, that was appropriate.
Yep.
That would be good for a justice system, though. That whoever commits the worst crime this month is the one they send to the vampire.
Basically,
I mean,
how
if I
how it
ever
works in
become
the
a
story.
vampire, like I will institute this.
Also, I think if someone hurts a child, the mother should be, unless it's the mother should be able to get to decide the punishment.
Yes.
Yeah,
If I
Okay.
become an autocrat, then that's part of my rules. Like basically pedos get, handcuffed and tossed into a room full of angry mothers
yeah, my
with
little,
weapons.
my little overlord story I've been playing around with. It has is enclaves of humans, and basically anyone who disrupts the colony, it's sacrificed.
I mean,
Of course,
it's
I'm
one of
sure
those
we all know
things.
how that can be problematic, because then it's a matter of who defines what is a disruption.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty easy. It's not up to them to decide.
Well, I mean,
the Soviet Union
what if
was a
your
per-
society decides that gays are a disruption?
Yeah, no, for me it would be a crime, and crimes like my society would be about as libertarian as possible with, while still having basic laws insofar as you are free to do whatever you want so long as you're not infringing on the freedoms of others to do as they want, do what ye will, harm none kind of thing. And, so no raping, no stealing, no killing, like that kind of thing. But
What?
beyond
That's
that,
totally
do whatever makes you happy. You want to do drugs? Go for it. Want to sell your body, for money? Go for it. Like, the core tenets of my society would be very like, do what you will, harm none.
Yeah, basically.
the problem is that different people have different ideas of what's harmful and what's not.
Sure, but you can lay out the baselines, again,
It's
as long as
basically
you're
a
not
question.
infringing on the freedoms of
Yeah.
others.
It's basically a question of, did you involve somebody who didn't consent to it?
Exactly. It's like BDSM would totally be legal in my society. You might rough somebody up, but if they are a consenting adult, then hey, it's kosher,
I'm pro that sort of politics, but I'm trying to think of the possible drawbacks.
Well, it's like I said, it's the first commandment: be excellent to each other.
Yep.
I don't
I've
think that's
been-
the first commandment.
Is my book.
I've been involved in BDSM groups, and I've got no problem with any of that if they're doing it in private. Some people who want to do it out in public, I have an issue with, because, then you might be involving people that didn't know this was going to be happening.
I tend to agree, but with the caveat that if it is, like a space like specifically for, BDSM, they could still be in public, but if it's say a BDSM event, or I personally, am fine with BDSM at Pride, I think,
Yeah.
cordon it off because like again, there could be children and
Well, again, if it's a space that everyone coming into the space has been warned this might be going on,
This is
then
going.
they've given some
Yeah.
consent there.
Yeah, have it
But when
posted
it comes
outside the
down
door.
to it, like Pride started as a riot. I mean, the Stonewall riot, and like kink has a place in the history of Pride because especially during the AIDS crisis, like you had gay men that they needed something because sex, like at least traditionally, was kind of off the table. It was too dangerous, but there were other ways to get satisfaction without putting bodily fluids into it.
What would be your laws on nudity?
I would be pro nudity. I don't think that there should be any shame with being nude because nudity is literally the most natural thing there is. You come into this world naked. So I don't think that nudity is inherently sexual, and I don't think that, nudity should be considered, criminal in any way.
I think, most of the taboos with nudity did come from Christianity.
Yeah.
Because you can see that the nations that are not predominantly Christian generally don't have much of an issue with it.
I mean, Christian prudes can kind of get over it,
On the other hand, don't almost all cultures have like some sort of pubic covering?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Well,
mean-
and a lot of places they're like, okay, generally when you're out on the street, you should have that, you should have your lower half covered, but they also then don't necessarily have a hang up of, like mixed gender bathhouses and nude beaches and things.
Yeah, like honestly, I say fuck it, free the titties. Like I think it's kind of dumb, just how hung up we as a society get on nudity.
And especially breasts. I don't see why people, have a freak out over, a woman nursing an infant.
Because they make it weird. Like they take something
sexual,
natural and make it sexual, and that's just weird. That says more about them than it does the woman with her titty out.
Yeah,
They
it's
got it
not
hard on
sexual.
folks
It's a natural thing that every mammal does.
Ox, I think you may have found someone that can beat Donald Trump in 2024, especially with that slogan.
While we're while I remember and we're talking about breasts again, There's a subreddit called, oh damn, what was it called?
r/we are Nazis.
No, Ghost Nipples, that describes the color of your nipples, Kitty.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like my nipples are weird. That's why I got jewelry on them to make them more like, stand out.
Hello. I'm here.
But no, like I'm to the left of Bernie on a lot of issues, and there are some issues I am a little bit more moderate on, like abortion. I consider myself a moderate on abortion. I am absolutely pro-choice, and if the choice was all or nothing, then I would be fine with, abortion up until birth, no questions asked. If that was my only option, if it was restricted or not. But I liked what was set out in Roe v. Wade. Early abortions, no questions asked. Later on, there's got to be a legitimate reason for it, because I do understand like the bodily autonomy of the person carrying the child. And, but I think that access to abortion and birth control and sex ed should be free and readily available. So you'd have less unwanted pregnancies.
Yeah, I think they're addressing the problem completely wrong. They shouldn't be fighting abortion. They should be doing everything they can to prevent pregnancy from happening to people who don't want it.
Bingo,
Yes.
bingo.
But that doesn't allow them to control women's bodies.
No, actually, it liberates women. That's what they hate. That's why they fought the
Exactly.
birth control pill, because it would let women do it just to have fun.
It doesn't also allow them to get more uneducated white children.
Oh, and speaking of, there was somebody in I forget what state it was, but it was somewhere in the Midwest, and she went on vacation with her husband, and she forgot her birth control at home. So she went into a Walgreens to buy some condoms, and the clerk refused to sell them to her based on religious grounds. And there have been
Which is
women that have had their
ridiculous.
birth control prescriptions denied by pharmacists because of religious grounds.
That was the upper Midwest, one of the weird states. Michigan, Minnesota, one of those M states, possibly, or Wisconsin.
Might have been Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm not
It
sure
might
which
have been.
state it
Wisconsin's a-
was. And unfortunately, these used to all be moderate states, but several, especially Michigan and Wisconsin, managed to get Republicans in control and got weird.
What would be your position on state versus anarchy in your new kingdom?
So on
Your
that,
new empire.
my empire. Honestly, I am more of a federalist. I think that, if we are going to be united as a nation, we should have national laws. And while you might allow for, smaller like ordinances, like on a city level, like, or a county level, as far as like state, like, further restricting things, I'm not personally a fan of it. I am not a states' rights person, because that is usually used to justify atrocities.
So, are we now interviewing Kitty for a 2024 presidential run?
I am
Yes.
actually going to be old enough to run in 2024, because you got to be 35, and I am now 35. So it is the first year I am legally old enough to run for president.
Well, as soon as I'm legally allowed to vote in America, I will.
Actually, this was the line I had just typed into the description before you asked that.
About Empress.
I mean, here's the thing. I was on an e-cigarette forum, and I got voted. Like, they had an area there. Like, the forum was only for talking about e-cigarette stuff. So, like, help with mods, troubleshooting, recipes, those kinds of things. But they did have a subsection that was like the social section. And in that subsection of that forum, they had an area where you could talk politics. It was the only place in the board, and it was kind of, the mods didn't go there, it was kind of a free for all. and we would have lovely conversations. And I got nicknamed Supreme Empress of the World. So it was Supreme Empress Kitty, Supreme, ruler of the world, or some shit like that.
I'd love to see that scene from Revenge of the Sith with your face baked over Anakin's.
I can get behind that. And here's the thing. I am an egalitarian, and we cannot guarantee equal outcome. And I'm fine with the idea of a meritocracy, but you have to have equal opportunity. You cannot have a true meritocracy if you have people starting on different levels. There's always, say it's a 100-meter race, there's always going to be the people like Donald Trump who are born 5 feet from the 100-meter line. But then you've got people that, they're barefoot with a broken ankle starting 5 miles back. They're never going to be able to finish that race, no matter how hard they try. And so the idea of we live in a meritocracy, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, it doesn't work if you don't have boots or straps. I think that a government has a responsibility to its citizens, and there should be a baseline below which you cannot fall. Eventually, we are going to need to shift away from our capitalistic model because there are not going to be enough jobs for everybody. Automation's the number one job killer. And with self-driving cars coming, a lot of truck drivers, which is one of the last, really good paying jobs that you can do with no education. And it's going to go away because, of course, they're going to want self-driving trucks instead of relying on people who could get into accidents or need sleep and rest, and other areas. You see it at fast food restaurants, grocery stores, everything. They're putting in self-checkouts, and, they're cutting down on their workforce. And we already have an underclass, and it's just going to get worse. And the gap between the haves and have-nots is just going to widen. And you're going to have people in abject poverty, and there's nothing they can do about it because there is no work. So we're going to have to shift to a different type of society. The older I get, the more post-capitalist I get, It won't happen in my lifetime, but, at least post-capitalism. But in my lifetime, I do expect that the government's going to need to address it in a way by doing something like a UBI, where, again, you have that baseline so everybody has the bare necessities, because we are guaranteed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in our Constitution. But you cannot have those things if you are homeless and hungry. You cannot have those things if you're struggling to put food on the table for yourself and your family. You cannot have those things if you're trying to decide whether to pay for your insulin this month or eat actual food that isn't just instant ramen. So I'm sorry, we need a complete overhaul of our system.
Yeah, it's like I was saying,
Well-
pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Bootstraps not included. I prefer the system in the Orville that they have. Basically, you do something good that benefits the society. You're rich.
When it comes down to
That
it,
sounds like the Chinese credit system.
right now,
Not exactly. No.
You mean the social credit score system?
Social credit, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me more of the Psychopaths anime than anything else. But I think Kitty's still trying to make a point.
No, it's fine. But here's the thing: the Federation of Planets had its issues. Star Trek, it's not a true utopia, but it's probably about as close as you can get to a utopian society, because humans are imperfect. We are flawed creatures, and no plan survives contact with the enemy. No political system survives intact. You can have a perfect system on paper, but when you put it into play, there are going to be imperfections. But I think that it is something worth striving for, where, people aren't so hung up on how much something costs. There's not really capitalism anymore, and people are taken care of. The way things are going now, we're not headed towards the Federation of Planets. We're headed more towards Mad Max and Water Wars and fucking desert
Cyberpunk.
pirates.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think a big part of the problem is that, the wealth and thereby all the resources are being accumulated by fewer and fewer families. So
Mhm.
at some point that has to be addressed, and basically the wealth needs to be redistributed on a much
Yeah.
broader spectrum.
Yeah, and we can't keep having infinite inflation on everything.
Yeah,
What
well,
we've
we
been
can't
doing.
have this keep going, to the point that there's going to be a half dozen people who own everything in the country.
Already, the top 1% own more than the bottom, like 80%.
I think it's
There's
higher
some-
than that.
Yeah.
I think it's over 90, but yeah.
There's also a trend that's kind of disturbing that I think doesn't only marginally ties into this. And that's when people don't realize that social science fiction is intended to serve as a warning. Like, I made a tweet about The Handmaid's Tale that went viral, and it's still getting retweeted occasionally. It's like, and people kept telling me, it's like, you realize this is a fantasy, right? It's like, you do realize that she based this on a Catholic cult and she intended this as a warning, right? I mean, especially since
Yeah.
you're quoting 1984 to me.
That's what I like about.
Yeah.
Well, this is things I like about Star Trek and the Orville. It gives us a glimpse of what we could be at our best.
Well, Star Trek is essentially, all right, what if we solve our problems? 20
Yeah,
years
like I said,
later,
what we could be at our best.
Post scarcity society.
20 years later, the cyberpunk authors came along and realized that a lot of the project from the hippies that had invented Star Trek had failed, and started to ask, what happens if we don't solve our problems? And that's gave us works like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, Neuromancer,
Yep.
Blade Runners, Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, Aliens, and Alien. It's basically
Yep. Science fiction is always a contemporary commentary, or usually anyway,
Mhm.
rather than saying this is going to be what the future is.
And a lot of people, I think, read those cyberpunk novels and said, hey, this is cool, let's implement this. It's like, you do realize they didn't actually want this to
It
happen.
was like a 1984. That wasn't the how-to manual, government.
Same thing with The Handmaid's Tale.
Yep.
And Fahrenheit 451.
Oof, yeah, that's another one.
Certain parts of Fahrenheit 451 can't happen now.
That's true.
Because the
I mean,
internet... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you were talking. I just thought you were done.
I was going to say, the internet kind of put the kibosh on people who just don't read.
Yeah. Now,
Did it because you can get most of the stuff read to you by a computer voice.
And they like to edit the stuff that's out there now.
Now, that's always been the case.
I mean, to be fair, like the Bible, like you were forbidden at one point to read the Bible and you had to have someone read it to you. Control mechanism. Like it
Yeah.
would be the same basic premise.
So that you
there.
interpreted it properly.
Exactly.
The
But, like, me
assumption was
personally-
that the peasants couldn't interpret it. They had to have a priest explain to them what it meant.
hmm
Mm.
I'm just waiting for the
And-
Soma and the free and, easy access to the drugs because, like, if we're going into a dystopian hellhole, I at least want to be numb for it.
Yeah.
You
Now
wanna
they'll
be
make that illegal.
You want to be conditioned to think it's a utopia like Brave New World. And not something where you realize something is dreadfully wrong like The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Well-
sad thing is she actually wrote a sequel, and it's kind of disturbing just because it shows some of those kids that grew up in Gilead, and they essentially perpetuate the system. Like one child that was taken from her mother, in the beginning, she ends up becoming an aunt, just like Aunt Lydia. and she grew up in the system. She was a child, and because of that, like, it's, you know, she doesn't have much memory from when she was little. And that's how you do it, you know. That's how you control a population, is you ignore the adults and go for the children.
Well, whatever the children are taught before they're 5 years old, they will grow up assuming is normal.
I had a teacher, and she told us stories about Cuba under Castro, and how, you know, he would go in and he would go into the classrooms of, like, the kindergarten age kids, and, you know, he would have his people in there, and he would tell them, you know, do you believe in God? You know, he'd ask them, and the kids would say yes, because it's a very Christian country. And he would say, you know, close your eyes and, you know, pray to God for candy and treats. And so they would, and nothing would happen. And then they would tell the kids, now close your eyes and pray to Castro for candy and treats. And while their eyes were closed, they would put candy and treats on the desks of the children.
Jeez.
Ox,
So
I don't think it's really where the younger generation is trying to steer this country. I think the threat really is more the middle-aged people. I think the younger people are less bigoted about things in general, but most of them are disenfranchised by the system and think that they can't do anything to change anything.
Well, even a lot of Generation X just doesn't have the power because there's still just way too many baby boomers.
yeah, and they're
Yep.
not dying fast enough. Like, Mitch McConnell still exists in the world. That
Hey,
turtle fuck.
I'm working on it.
That turtle fuck, you know, like, the world will be a better place when he is no longer in it, you know.
Yeah, ironically, during COVID, the Republicans were willing to sacrifice all of the elderly people just to keep the economy up where they wanted it.
Yeah, not them, though, because they have people that can go and shop for them.
Well, not them, but that was a large chunk of their voter base. You know, and like in Florida, the number of elderly that have died is more than the margin that DeSantis won his last election by.
Yes. It is not. I'm hoping that it spells doom for DeSantis, because he is basically like a much savvier Trump. He doesn't have the same baggage attached to him, and unfortunately, Republicans, you know, even younger Republicans, they are hitching their wagon to DeSantis. They're like, yeah, you know, Trump did a good job, but, you know, like, he's kind of become too toxic with this January 6th thing. So we want DeSantis.
Unfortunately, DeSantis is probably the most likely one to be the candidate for president in 2024.
Just what we need. The whole country would become Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think,
Carol, I very much think that this is what we need to worry about, is that the younger people and the leftists are just not going to bother to vote because they don't think their vote's going to change anything.
Or they're going to, in protest, be like, well, you know, like, I'm not voting for one of the two parties to stop authoritarian fascists from taking over the country. So I'm going to vote third party, even though it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, I've heard that too many times.
Actually, no. If you're in a state like Indiana and you're right wing and want to vote for, like, the Libertarian Party, please do so, because that's one less vote Trump will get, or DeSantis. And I am so sick of seeing Trump DeSantis 2024 bumper stickers around here.
I mean, I understand, like, and I want ranked choice voting. I want viable third parties. I do. But right now, we are facing an existential threat to the country.
When your other option is vote for the people who are giving millions to the extremists on the other side.
Well, we do need to fix the two-party system, but that's not going to happen overnight.
Well, and the Democrats are fucked up in a lot of ways, but the Republicans have made it very clear that they're going to try to prevent minorities from ever voting again.
Yeah. And if you vote for a third party in these next two elections, like I fear, you're doing irreparable harm because they're going on a state level trying to restrict access to voting. And they're like in Texas, they're trying to say that, oh no, like the state will decide who we vote for, just completely overriding the will of the people. That's in their party platform.
I'm thinking we're past the point of this mattering.
I think Texas
We
is
need
having...
revolt. We need to just do an overall clean slate.
I think one of Texas's problems was you keep looking at maps of Texas, the blue part keeps moving north. Like the southern parts of the state are almost all blue.
Well, I think
Not
Texas
for much longer if they have their way.
Yeah, I think Texas is not really unique in any way. I think it's like any other state that the major cities are blue and the rural areas are red.
No, I mean, if you look at a map, it's like Texas is becoming a purple state, but it's like very slowly, like from south to north, encroaching. And I'm sure immigration patterns have a lot to do with that, but
I mean, the Republicans want to strip bodily autonomy from people. They want to strip away rights to abortion, to contraception, to same-sex marriage, possibly even interracial marriage.
I'd be okay with doing away with parties.
Listen, we know Clarence Thomas isn't going to recuse himself from the interracial marriage vote. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that.
I mean, it's true. Like, he did stop short of it, saying that, he was going to go after that just because he is in an interracial marriage. But it logically follows, considering all of the things that he listed, they all rely on the same, fundamental right to privacy.
Yep. And that's what most people still are not getting about Roe versus Wade, that it wasn't just about abortion. It was about, do you have the right to do things in the privacy of your own home that the government shouldn't interfere with?
And Thomas and the others said, no, you do not. And, they keep thinking that, oh, Republicans are the pro-freedom party. No, they're not. They are the party of subjugating everybody who is not wealthy, white, and male.
Hey, that's not entirely true. I may not be able to be trans much longer in Indiana, but at least I can have a gun.
Yeah, so you can protect those freedoms that you're losing.
Part of my platform is immediate decriminalization of all drugs and then working towards legalizing, taxing, and regulating drugs, because I believe in freedom, and I believe that if you want to put a substance in your body to tweak your consciousness, you have the right to do that, so long as you're not putting others at risk, i.e. don't get behind the wheel of a car, if you're supposed to be responsible for small children, as long as it's just you, I don't care. And then the money that we'd save wasted on the war on drugs can be put into treatment facilities for people that do have addiction issues. But the vast majority of people use drugs just recreationally. It's not an addictive issue. And usually when you do have a substance abuse issue, there's underlying reasons for it, i.e. mental health issues, and you're self-medicating, and that leads down a dark path. But I would go for a Medicare for all system where we would have universal health care, universal mental health care. So treatment facilities for people that have addiction issues, and healthcare for all, then if you want to fucking pop some Molly on Saturday night before going to a, while you're at a club kind of thing, as long as you got a designated driver, go for it, have fun. the most dangerous ones I wouldn't do. Like, I would much rather, like oxycodone instead of like heroin. And I would rather straight cocaine as opposed to like crack cocaine and like no crocodile or things like that can really fuck you up.
I'm guessing those would at least be decriminalized.
Yeah, no, they'd already be decriminalized. So possession and use, you will not go to jail or be fined for. But as far as what would be regulated and taxed and sold, those would only be the cleaner, drugs. And that's another thing. A lot of people that die from overdoses, it's not the drugs. Like, it's not because they're taking the drug. It's because they're not regulated and they don't, always end up clean, or the dosage isn't right, or they're cut with something dangerous, and that causes a problem. If what you're consuming is clean and it is the right dosage, most people, even drug addicts, know what level is, their level for the high that they want, and they, use that. But if you're using your dosage and it's been cut with fentanyl, which is like 1,000 times stronger than morphine, well, guess what? That dosage you're used to is now going to kill you.
Apparently, a kitty likes what Kitty is saying.
The way to disincentivize people from buying particular dangerous drugs would be to tax them heavier, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, I would legalize weed day one. I would essentially remove it from, or at the very least, I'd decriminalize it day one by removing it for the controlled substances list. And then that's funny. And then I would, set out a framework, because honestly, like, kids shouldn't be smoking weed, my opinion. It should be treated the way we do alcohol, 21 and up. As long as you are 21 years old, I don't care if you're growing plants at your house. I don't care if you're going to a dispensary. Like, it's a fucking weed. Have fun, but like, I would say that, you could maybe have limits on how many plants a person can grow, because you do want that tax revenue. So you want people to go to the dispensaries to get their seeds for growing their own, to get their, weed. And the tax revenue could then be used to help fund schools, because that's another issue that we have. Our schools are dreadfully underfunded. And because it is funded by property taxes, the schools in the wealthy white neighborhoods end up being much better funded than those in communities of color. And I would
ridiculous.
that as well, where it's like property taxes will still fund it, but it's all going to go into a pot, and then it will be also further subsidized, and there will be a committee, and every year they will see what it takes for, a student to get, a good education, and whatever the dollar amount is, each school gets that per child, regardless of their test scores, regardless of which area it is. The committee will say, all right, it costs $10,000 per year per student, just pulling a number out of my ass.
I
Then
know about the whole
get
property tax thing.
But it doesn't cost the same thing to educate a student in each area. That's part of the problem. The cost of living is different across the country.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I mean, we can factor in a formula for cost of living adjustments, but I'm saying averaged out, like, it would be, like, it might be $10,000 in California, and because of the cost of living adjustment, it might only be $8,000 in Florida or $6,000, but it still comes out to the same, like the level for that education.
I think if you did it state by state, and the cost is not going to be the same for every school district, but it would still be a fuck of a lot more fair than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
and it would be done state by state, because you're right. Like New York, California, it's going to be a lot more expensive just because, it costs more for everything in those states than it would be in, say, Kentucky or West Virginia. But we can factor in a formula for that.
Why not have all the taxes go to one entity and then have it distributed there rather than split up into state taxes and federal taxes?
Well, not every state has state taxes. And it's not those taxes that fund it. It is strictly property taxes, which
Oh, that's local.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have an issue with that.
The way we fund schools is kind of messed up, and I think one of the things we should look at is finding a way to fund it that isn't property taxed.
Also, the thing with the schools is
But it can't be only that. It can't be the only source of funding because there is not enough money going there, you know?
also the thing with schools is, let's say the school receives $10,000 for, I don't know, pencils. They can't spend that money on anything else other than pencils. So there would need to be some way of being able to redistribute the money to other things if they need it.
And
Yeah.
I think we also need some sort of, like, Indiana and Kentucky and a couple of other states actually have a statewide community college system.
Oh yeah, no. Like community college would also, like in my country, like community college would be free, just like healthcare, free at the point of service. Like you'd be able to get your associate's degree and then, have, for low income people, have easier accessible grants for when you transition from community college to a state university, which most states have that. If you start at a community college, you can then transfer directly to a state university.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
And it would be subsidized because and it wouldn't just be colleges I would subsidize. I would also
Trade
it could
schools,
be
yeah.
college or trade school, because not everybody needs to go to college. Not everybody would do well in college, but you learn a trade and you can then have, a decent life. And I follow the philosophy of FDR in that I believe that any company that is not willing to pay a living wage to its employees does not belong doing business in the United States of America. And by living wage, I don't mean bare subsistence. No, if you put in your time, you work a full-time job, you should have a comfortable existence. You should make more than enough money to get by comfortably.
Actually, I think one of the interesting things that occurred during the pandemic, which, one, they shouldn't have entitled to unemployment because that was just a bad idea, but a lot of people used that money to see if they could start their own businesses just because they had more money coming in, just because they still needed something to do, at least around here where the restrictions probably weren't as strict as they needed to be.
Well, there's also the fact that, innovation is stifled. Like you could have somebody that has the next great idea, but because their health insurance is tied to their employer, they're not going to risk that. And they're not going to be an entrepreneur. They're not going to do the thing that would make life better for everybody because they're stuck at a dead-end job just trying to scrape by and cover their insulin costs.
What's the name of your new empire?
Kitty Land.
Honestly, I haven't decided, Egalitaria?
I liked Kitty Land better.
Kittyland does
You're a
sound
cat
cool.
girl.
Kittyland used to be an amusement park by Chicago.
That's Kitty Land, isn't it?
Yes.
Not
But
Kitty Land. Or was it Kitty Land, as in cat?
Sorry. That's
Kitty
just,
Land is a whole other
you
thing.
tripped over one of my childhood memories there. Actually, several of them, including one of the reasons I don't go on roller coasters.
A fear of heights?
No, because when I was a very little one who probably shouldn't have been going on these rides at all, my brother stuck me on one alone and stood on the platform and laughed as I screamed my head off.
Oh,
I don't like the sensation of roller coasters.
I love roller coasters. I pay for it massively later because it hurts, but I'm an adrenaline junkie.
Actually, my biggest issue with roller coasters is I overthink it, and I don't trust, I'm questioning, okay, who did the maintenance on this? And was it done at 4:00 on a Friday afternoon when he's trying to get out of there and the boss just said he's got to work late? So did he actually check the torque on all the wheel bolts?
Well, older siblings are a major cause of trust issues.
Yes, I think having older siblings is a major cause of a lot of PSD.
I wouldn't know, being the eldest.
No, he would be the cause.
Yeah,
No, I don't like roller coasters because of fear of heights.
See, I prefer steel coasters to wooden coasters. Wooden coasters make me more nervous than steel coasters because you get the harness, like you're strapped in, you're not going anywhere. Whereas with a wooden coaster, you feel like you're going to fall out.
An amusement park not far from where I live actually had a ride that was considered one of the 10 best roller coasters in the country for the longest time. I mean, the roller coaster's still there, I think, but I don't know if it's still one of the top 10 best.
I've always wanted to go to Cedar Point.
Actually, avoiding roller coasters led to one of my more interesting experiences. That after high school prom, the next day we went to Great America with, a friend of hers, another couple. And her friend liked roller coasters, and she did, so they went on the roller coaster, and I just sat there and waited on the bench with his date. And somewhere in the course of the day, we wound up trading dates, and nobody seemed to care.
Nice.
So, yeah, actually, I continued dating her for a few months there.
Apparently the roller coaster's still there. I thought I would have taken it down by now.
There are a bunch of abandoned roller coasters across the country just because they're expensive to dismantle.
I can believe that.
Yeah, apparently the
Sounds
roller
like great monkey bars.
Apparently the roller coaster I just linked in chat was built, I think, in the 1940s in Texas and called the Rocket, but they moved it to its current location and rebuilt it and decided to christen it the Phoenix.
And then it caught on fire.
Not to my knowledge. I don't even think it's on the same vein of Collet Centralia is.
I kind of ruined my sister for roller coasters. Like, she was small and young, and I brought her on a roller coaster with me, and it kind of traumatized her. I didn't do it intentionally. I wasn't trying to traumatize her. I just wanted a roller coaster buddy, but I should have waited a year or two.
Yeah, I was the youngest in my family, and I have said before that I survived my childhood by being better at hiding than the next brother up the line, who I sincerely think that he suffered maybe a bit of brain damage from my other brothers using him as a test pilot for all the carnival rides they created because they found him first.
Oof.
I mean, he's intelligent and all. He's a master mechanic, but the kind of common sense things of actually, linking all the parts together to make a diagnosis seems to often go awry.
I gotta find a new screw for here because the screw is stripped, so it doesn't tighten. So I literally have an elastic holding my mic straight.
My old mic, I was pretty much quite literally holding together.
Well, like, the stand is new. It's just the screw was defective, but the mic is great and it works fine. And the stand and like the boom arm is great. It's just that one screw, which I think is just a manufacturer's defect.
To the fine folks at Blue Yeti, if you're listening to me, I'd like a retro style microphone.
So Kitty's going to get a screw issue.
Athena, what are you doing? Oh, you see a bug. Okay, you can hunt the bug.
Sky Raisin.
Sorry, Heat Shield. I've already forgotten what it was I said that nobody cared about.
Well, I guess you were right. Nobody cared. Not even you.
The problem with apathy is nobody cares.
Yeah.
Although apathy is also what I credit for being my best defense mechanism. When I get truly depressed, suicide just seems like way too much effort.
Yeah.
I once quoted Starship Troopers and said naked aggression is the force that solved more problems in human history. Then someone pointed out, no, it solved the second most problems in human history. The force that solved the most was apathy.
Agreed.
Actually, if you have universal apathy, the problem will solve itself.
I don't know. I mean, I saw Serenity and Firefly. Apathy can get to a point that it gets dangerous.
But see, it would solve itself because with universal apathy, our society wouldn't function and the wild animals would just take over and wipe us out.
Well, that's not quite what happened in Serenity, but I'm sure we've all seen that movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think you have to worry about spoilers at this point. I think anybody who's got any interest in it will have seen it by now.
No, it's too recent.
From 15 years ago?
I still have
That's why it was a joke.
I still have to start watching The Orville.
Yes,
That is
Yeah.
at least more recent than fucking Serenity.
Yeah, I have to catch up on the Orville because I watched like the first season and a half when it first came out, and that's it.
If you haven't even watched the first season yet, I recommend watching to at least episode 3.
I think I've watched part. I remember watching most of the first and part of the second, I think, and the third one's on Hulu. So
I watched part of the first season,
and
then I liked.
It does change. It does change. It gets more serious as each season goes on.
And I remember watching one episode that was hilarious because one of the officers brings on like a sex tape on the holodeck that gives the computer a virus.
Oh yeah, Bordus. Yeah, he did.
I vaguely remember one episode about an alien that like released pheromones that made people like horny or something.
Yep, that was the alien that Kelly cheated on Ed with.
Remember, the Orville essentially exists because Paramount won't let Seth MacFarlane do a Star Trek series.
That's true. And yeah, this last season has basically been straight up Star Trek.
And the entire show is just a pastiche of The Next Generation. I think after the Orville, if Paramount just would reach out to him, they should let him do a season of Lower Decks.
I think part of what the Orville was that, everybody only saw him as doing comedy. I think he wanted to do something serious. So that was the only way he could get into it, was by pitching it as being a comedy and then making it serious as he went along.
Maybe. He did make it more serious as he went along. There's still some humor in it, though, even this third season.
I mean, there was humor in Star Trek.
Well, look at MASH. MASH had to have the humor in it, but it's remembered as one of really a great drama.
Yeah.
Well, it had to have the humor because it was really dark subject matter.
Yeah.
I think it's remembered more as a dramedy, but
yeah. Well, I think it pretty much coined the term dramedy.
Yeah, the one guy that was trying to get kicked out for wearing a dress, and they're like, "Nah, sorry, you gotta stay here."
Not Kruger.
Well, and I think, what the show really was about was that, only by having a sense of humor were they able to keep their sanity in an insane situation.
Yeah. Actually, there's a YouTuber. Her name is Lady Knight the Brave, and she did a whole video essay on MASH because it is one of her favorite shows, and like it was absolutely fucking phenomenal, and I highly recommend anybody that is interested in that or likes video essays to go check it out. Like she's a Jewish woman, and she's also done things on like The Gray Zone and Jojo Rabbit, and she talks about all kinds of stuff. Like she has a back catalog of a lot of really good things, but the MASH episode and her episode on Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, like fucking chef's kiss.
Well, some of the stuff that Shatner has said he's right about.
Shatner's also in his 90s. I remember once having an exchange with him because he didn't like the fact that people referred to him as a cisgender man because he thought people use cis as insults. Like, he couldn't grasp that. No one's insulting you. It just means.
I have heard people use it as an insult.
Any word word used as a description can be used as an insult. It's the intent that goes behind it that determines whether it's an insult or not.
I think he's probably getting confused with the former or the derogatory term sissy, and I have heard trans people use a different spelling of it as a derogatory term for cis people on occasion.
And I could see that because that was a homophobic slur type word in the past, and I can see.
But Shatner's not perfect. He certainly has a strange support for Autism Speaks.
Yeah, well, and Shatner made the statement about when did Star Trek get political, and it's like you were part of the original show. You didn't realize they were dealing with issues of racial integration?
I think he's just going senile, honestly. Angry old man shouts at kids from front porch.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
That's just it.
Like I said, he was right about one thing about Gene would be spinning in his grave over what they've done with Star Trek.
Yeah, but not for the things I think Shatner is concerned about. I don't think he would have liked Picard. Also, Gene Roddenberry was kind of weird about some things.
Yeah. Well, Gene Roddenberry really didn't approve of the whole Dominion Wars thing.
Wasn't he dead by then?
Yeah, no, he wouldn't have approved of it, is what I meant to say, because he really didn't want to show any war drama.
Yeah.
The whole point of Deep Space Nine is the Trek universe isn't all bright and happy all the time.
Yeah.
But even then, they still had that hopefulness is embedded into it, which they completely lost in these newer series.
I think Picard still has some hopefulness in it, but I think Picard is more a commentary on U.S. politics.
Yeah, and they're doing it wrong. If you want to do that kind of commentary, you want to use aliens to represent that.
I don't really. No, I don't. I think it just doesn't feel like Star Trek. I think Picard season 1 is a good commentary on how the United States has lost its way from its intended.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm saying they're doing it wrong. We're using the Federation as an analogy, where they should be using alien races as the analogy.
I think using the Federation is done on purpose because I think we just need.
Yeah, I know it's done on purpose. It's done wrong though.
But I disagree because I think we need to see that this is us that's screwing up.
Well, that was the point.
Not everybody can understand the allegory.
The alien races were meant to be stand-ins for us.
I understand that, but not everybody is smart enough to understand that. Sometimes you need to beat people over the head with something, or you have to break it down to as simple a point as possible for it to sink in. Because using aliens,
but you're losing what Trek stands for by doing that.
Honestly, to me, what Trek always stood for was pushing boundaries and hopefulness for the future. That was the core ideology.
That was it. You're losing the hopefulness for the future part by doing that.
No, I don't think so.
Well, yeah, you
because-
are. That's what the Federation was to stand for. That hopefulness for the future. By saying no, that doesn't stand, and that this is the problem, you lose that hopefulness.
Well,
Things can still be hopeful even if it's currently broken.
yeah, Picard is still hopeful, and the entire message of the first scene is don't make the perfect the enemy of the good. Or yeah, don't make, because he keeps trying to make changes. He wants changes done his way, and rather than making incremental changes that would help with the problems they're having because Romulus blew up, or Romulus has been destroyed because of a supernova, he just insists that things being his way, partly because he's suffering from some sort of degenerative brain disease.
Okay, Ox is asking, does cis stand for something? And I don't really know the origin of it.
Oh,
Cis-
the origin is
Uh,
chemistry.
Cis is
Oh.
Latin for this side of. It's the opposite of trans. It's just a prefix.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's Latin. Trans is across, and cis is same.
Yeah, this side of on the other side of.
Yeah, it's like
Yep.
I knew what it meant, but I didn't know what it actually came from. And I think he was asking if it was like an acronym or something.
No.
No, Mark Short, if you
On
want to
this side
reward,
of, yeah.
if you want to reward yourself some time, go ahead and watch MASH. It's an excellent series.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of pricey, but I broke down and I bought the box set of the entire series during COVID.
And you can
Then I will send you the link for Lady Knight's video essay on MASH. It was really good.
And you can probably get away without watching the original movie.
Yeah, actually, I think the series is better if you don't watch the original movie because they are very much disconnected.
It's like watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie and the series.
Yep.
All right.
They're both good, but they're different things.
Exactly.
Yeah, they have a very different tone to them.
I do recommend watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, just because it's funny.
It is funny and it's
Yeah.
good, but I think the show is better personally.
I agree the show is better.
I agree.
I actually mostly got into it because one of my daughters did, so I wound up watching it with her every week.
You probably should watch the movie eventually if you watch the series, but I don't think, they're just kind of disconnected. And
Yeah. I did watch the movie when we were like halfway through the series, and that was kind of how I felt that, they were both good, but they didn't really seem to be part of the same universe.
It very much was. It's like the movie, then just the core kernel of the idea was taken from the movie and then extrapolated upon for a series. And like that's it. That's really the only connection is super powered girl fights vampires.
Yeah, the movie was the Hollywoodized version of Joss Whedon's vision, whereas the series stuck closer to his vision of what he wanted.
Because he was kind of micromanaging it, and like he was a monster allegedly on set, like to people like Charisma Carpenter.
Yeah, and I agree that Donald Sutherland would not have worked in the MASH series. Although actually the role I'll always remember him most for was Oddball in Kelly's Heroes.
Yeah.
I remember him most from was it Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Oh man, that movie was one that actually kind of freaked me out a little bit when I was a kid. The idea that, your parents might have been like replaced, like, oof, no. Like the people around you, you don't know who you can trust. Like my little fucking overactive brain got super fucking paranoid after watching that movie.
If you don't know who you can trust, that's pretty much my childhood.
You're not paranoid. Everybody is out to get you.
all right, who's here old enough to have watched The Day After?
I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't really remember it, but I know I saw it.
Is that
I'm not
is that
sure.
the one with the?
Was that with Jason Robard?
I don't know, but I remember when they aired it, it was just like scary as heck, because if you grew up the tail end of Generation X, you remember the Cold War paranoia, which did give us some great things like the Fallout series, Mad Max. Rocky and Bullwinkle is another great thing that came out of the Cold War. But
Moose and squirrel. Yeah, squirrel. I struggle with that. Saying squirrel with a Russian accent.
Moose and Squirrel.
Amazon tried to do a remake, but a lot of it's just... I mean, they even got Tara Strong to do some of the voices, but it's just not as good because a lot of it's just parody of what's going on at the time.
Yep.
Plus, they didn't have the other, like... the other side things that occurred in Rocky and Bullwinkle, like Dudley Do-Right, Aesop and Son.
Yeah, you needed those, other segments, but it's also one of the things that people who get so upset about anime because they say animation is for children obviously never watched Rocky and Bullwinkle.
No, animation is not just for kids.
And Jay Ward even said that repeatedly, that he was making cartoons, but kids were not his target. His target audience was people in college.
But Bugs Bunny was not intended for children.
Like, I have a handful of anime that if anyone tells me anime is for kids, I show them those.
Is Ninja Scroll one of them?
No, Elven Lied, School Live, fucking no,
School of
Finding Neverland, or it's Neverland something. I can't. Is it Finding Neverland?
No, it's
Promise Neverland.
Promise Neverland.
Promise
That's it. Promise Neverland. Those ones, because they start out and you think, oh, it's cute and it's fluffy and it's fun, and then like you get that fucking like gut wrench thing, or there's another one.
Then you have the ones that try
Seraph
and
at the end.
Then you have the ones that are basically porn hiding as anime.
Yeah, but that's not what I'd go for. I would go for more like the School Live, where you think that, oh, these are just kids, hanging out at a school, and mild spoiler, but it's the end of the first episode. You realize that the girl that you're following, where everything is fine and normal, has had a mental break and is disassociating because there was a zombie apocalypse. So everything is normal in her head, but everything else is just fucking nightmare.
ReZero, that's a pretty decent one.
Yeah, no, like there are tons of good ones, but like with Promise Neverland and School Live, like, you get that feeling that, oh, this is just going to be a heartwarming, feel good anime. And then it just fucking says nope. Or like Made in Abyss, like that's another one that, it's cute. Like the animation style is adorable and the actors are cute, or, the voice actors' voices are nice. And so you think, oh yeah, this is fine. Everything's fine. And then nope. And then if I really want to fuck with them, I'll show them Elven Lied, because like, not only does it have some fucking, brutal fucking murder scenes where a girl with invisible arms rips people apart, but also there's the whole like weird, creepy kind. Well, it's not really incest, but it kind of feels that way, because like the guy that raised one of the girls that has the vectors, the invisible arms, like, it's weird. Like there's some weird vibes there that I'm just like, no. And there's a scene where like the girl, like one of the girls, like what they're called Diclonius. They're like a new evolution of humans, and they're all female, and their vectors can either be used to grab things or punch through things or deflect bullets, that kind of thing, or move them around as well, like, think like spider jumping kind of thing. But they can also be used to infect humans so that the children that they have will also be Diclonius. And like one Diclonius girl, like when she was a child, she like befriended a puppy, and these bully kids did something terrible to the puppy. Like, it is a fucking, it can be rough to watch, if for some people. It's not one I would recommend to everybody, because some people are very sensitive to animal cruelty, or like just weird, like some of the weird things, or like the intense violence. But for anyone who says anime is for kids, like, you show them that, and then their mouth would gape open like a fish.
Do
Some of the thing-
Dicronius reproduce asexually?
Kind of. Like, they basically, the way that they kind of spread it is they infect humans, and then I believe they are sterile. Like,
Oh, sounds more parasitic.
yeah, and like they have horns on their heads, Diclonius, like 2 horns. And like they don't show any of the Diclonius actually getting pregnant, and it's contact with vectors that makes it so that a human will then, give birth to a Diclonius. Like, there's one guy that he works studying these people, and like he was infected by one of them, and then his own child was a Diclonius and got locked up in the lab and experimented on.
Yeah.
Like,
show
fucking
him
brutal.
the episode of Full Metal Alchemist. He's dealing with Nina.
Oh fuck. Tan.
Dog.
Well,
A lot of the old cartoons weren't intended for kids, although I think Dumbo was. The problem with cartoons like Dumbo, and probably even worse example, Disney's Song of the South, which I remember
Oh.
in theaters in the 80s, was that Disney never actually specified when Song of the South took place. So you have no idea that it's actually taking place during the Reconstruction era. And
I actually saw that movie when I was a kid on VHS.
Oh, I saw it at the theater when I was a kid.
Well, they didn't have it in theaters when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think Disney's overall intent was good, because they were just trying to like bring out like the Brer Rabbit stories and animate them. But
Yeah.
the overall framework of it was just not really well thought out. Even setting it during Reconstruction in the South would be a racist thing, especially since you know that they're probably sharecroppers.
Have you seen Other Side Picnic, Kitty?
I don't think so.
I think you might like that one.
I mean, Elven Lied's one of my absolute favorite anime, but it is not for the faint of heart, But then I don't mind like mindfuck anime, or like brutal anime. Like, one of my favorite animes is Higurashi When They Cry, or Higurashi no Naku Koroni. And that one is another one where it seems like it's going to be a sweet slice of life type anime until the brutal murders start happening in the fucking time loops.
Yeah. Other side Picnic is basically, you start out with this one girl who's like found herself in this other world, and she's basically waiting to die. When this other girl finds her and kind of saves her, and they go off on this adventure looking for the other girl's partner who got lost in this world.
Okay.
And they keep going back and forth between our world and that one.
I'm sure Michael has seen that one.
I never got into any of the serious anime, although I'm feeling that I have to go now and watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, because virtually every rating channel that I follow references it at least once a month.
I'm not sure I count Avatar as a anime.
It's American, but it's an
Yeah,
anime
it's
style.
Americanized. Yeah.
And I
would count it.
I think I liked Korra a bit more because that was steampunk.
It's an anime style, yeah, but
It's Americanized anime. I realize it's kind of a watered down thing from the original anime.
If we really want to get strictly technical about it, anime is just any animation from Japan.
Anyway, a lot of the anime I think is absolutely silly, especially the popular ones like One Piece. Dragon Ball Z, and what's the other one? Naruto.
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 I actually watched all of Naruto at the beginning of the pandemic.
I never was able to get through all of it.
All of Naruto and all of Shippuden.
I never
But-
watched any of them consistently, but my daughters were into some of them, so I saw random episodes.
But regardless of where it's made, if a story is actually good, I like it. Like I loved Batman the Animated Series.
Yes. Fucking origin of Harley Quinn.
I like very few animes, but one of the first ones I really liked was something called Casher and Sins. Also not for children, because the entire point of Casher and Sins is that death makes life worth living in the first place. And then I got on a cyberpunk kick, and I really like the ideas behind Psycho-Pass's first season. Because the villain is an absolutely terrible person, but he has a point. Not to mention, it's just making references to Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and Minority Report throughout the series, which it's basically the idea behind Minority Report.
Like, that is one of the few Tom Cruise films that I'll actually watch just because I really like the premise.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Like, Legend and Minority Report are the only two Tom Cruise films I can think of off the top of my head that I actually will watch and enjoy. Because I cannot stand him.
I think I'd watch Top Gun too,
Yeah, Top Gun's not my thing.
but that's because I like airplanes. But a lot of Tom Cruise movies are better without Tom Cruise in them.
Like, he fucking ruined The Mummy.
What? Did The Mummy need to be remade without Brendan Fraser?
No, it did not.
Well, the Mummy was ruined even without him, so.
Actually,
Like, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
I like The Mummy 2 better than I like the first Mummy movie in that series. And that movie itself is a remake of like a 1930s horror film.
Like,
Okay.
honestly, it was fine. It is what it for what it was. Like, it was meant to be, a popcorn flick, a family-friendly, snarky popcorn flick, and I'm totally fine with that. Like, not every movie needs to be Oscar bait.
I think it was intended to be what I think there's a Pluto TV channel called Midnight Pulp. I think it was intended to be that.
Oof, it's 2 a.m.
Yes, it is.
I just realized that.
No, it's only 1:15.
Yeah. You're
Hey.
in the past.
Just keep in mind that Bugs Bunny did an awful lot of cross-dressing, and people who are so obsessed with trans people and gay people love Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, that was brought up earlier. I had highlighted it for a bit. Now I can't remember who it was that said it. I think it was Dog. Yeah, there it is. And I was on the wrong thing to highlight it.
But I think a lot of the prejudice against anime comes from the fact that traditionally American animation has been marketed towards children.
Yeah, and that's mostly because of Disney.
And it wasn't until Matt Groening came out with The Simpsons that adult animation in America became a thing, and most of our animation as adults for Americans is comedies like Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, Family Guy. Archer.
What was it? Was it Duckman? Like, I vaguely remember this show, and it was like very not kid friendly. From like it was like the late 90s. It was on MTV.
Yeah, I remember Duckman. I didn't really watch it, but I remember it existed.
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that show is just so stupid.
I couldn't stand Beavis and Butthead, but I loved Daria.
Oh, Daria was amazing. Like, Daria is best girl.
Another anime you might like to look into is Shadow's House. It's by the same people who made Neverland, Promised Neverland.
I mean,
Okay.
I can't. Beavis and Butthead makes more sense when you realize it's making fun of Beavis and Butthead. But it's still, I just can't
Yeah,
stand
I know
constant
that, but
laughing.
yeah. Well, it really comes down to the level of that. If there isn't some character in the show I can identify with, I'm probably not going to bother to watch it for very long.
And the best parts to me of Beavis and Butthead are Daria doing whatever she's doing to them.
Yeah, I'm glad she got her own spin-off show because I would not have watched Beavis and Butthead for the snippets of Daria.
Yeah. I actually didn't even know about Daria until she had her own show because I never paid enough attention to Beavis and Butthead.
Mm-hmm.
But that was another one that during COVID I found the box set of Daria, so I've got the whole series now.
And I guess some of the characters were supposed to show up in King of the Hill, but Mike Judge couldn't work it out between the networks.
Oh. I didn't know that there was supposed to be any crossover for that or that they were necessarily in the same world. I can see how it could have fit, though, yeah.
I think Mr. Anderson was originally supposed to be Hank Hill's father.
I didn't really like King of the Hill.
I didn't like it at first. It kind of grew on me after a while, and then as the show went on, then it seemed to get more stupid.
Futurama, like as far as like,
It's much better.
adult-oriented like entertainment, like animated entertainment. I never really liked The Simpsons, and Family Guy's okay, but it gets kind of, old kind of quick.
I never really got into Family Guy.
But
Well,
Futurama was my favorite.
I like Family Guy, but I hate Peter. So can we have the show without the main character? Because some of the side characters were interesting.
Have you seen Disenchantment?
Yeah.
That was okay. I kind of get tired of that style of animation now, honestly.
Sloth Girl and I watched the first season of Disenchantment, and again, it was good for the one season. I think they should have let it go after that. I don't think they should have tried to carry it on.
Yeah,
they had a decent story arc for the one season, and after that, there wasn't anything to it. And even the humor was not really good.
Had you guys seen the Max in the 90s?
The what?
The Max? Oh,
The
yeah.
Max. I really enjoyed that.
I actually think Disenchantment has gotten better as the season's went on, but to each their own.
All right. Well,
Been a while
it's
since I
getting
saw
late,
that.
so I'm probably gonna bounce.
Well, maybe we should wrap it up here for the night.
Yeah, we're over 3 hours now.
Well,
Yeah.
Futurama might be getting more seasons, but
Are they going to bring Futurama back again?
a lot of people would like it to come back, but honestly, I just don't think. I don't think it's going to be as good as even the Comedy Central version was.
I think the show's run its course, honestly, at
Yeah.
this point.
I'd agree.
Anyways, I don't have
Okay.
anything coming up, so I don't really need to shill anything. Just I love you guys, and I will catch you next time. I should be there for Diana's stream on Sunday.
Oh yay! Oh yeah!
Fingers crossed, to keep my internet grandma, like she's adopted. I've adopted her as a grandma. Like. So, anyways, have a good night, you guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Hey, kitty. Real kitty.
Okay,
tail.
Cat Lady's Closet. What have you got coming up?
Oh God!
Cattail.
Yep, cattail. So what else do we have going on here?
Well, when are your streams coming up? What have you got going on in the next week or so?
Well, let's see. There will be Sunday at noon and Wednesday at 7 p.m., both Eastern. And I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with something. Maybe a rogue show or something. I don't know. We'll see what we can do. And it's just the usual.
Okay.
And then there's this cat.
Porpoise, have you got anything happening online, or is just real life got you on?
Well, I'm actually I finished up most of the code I need for that Discord chat bot to run. I'll be testing that in the near future. I actually went out to buy a new headgear today because I actually started work on the Ada Lovelace video I've been planning, recorded some bits of it. With luck, I'll be able to get that out sometime this week or next week before I actually have to go back to work and college again. And for the most part, it's like, yeah, I'll just be doing some programming projects until the next semester at ISU starts up, and maybe trying to get some video done. Because after the next semester at ISU starts up, I'll be doing plenty of coding, but that's for a grade. Can't wait for the computer programming languages course, though. Yeah. Would love to figure out how to write my own computer programming languages.
Diana Dog says there's not enough rogue shows nowadays.
Okay, I'll have to do something about that.
Mage, have you got anything coming up?
Well, we got my new channel Gardens Happen, and I'm planning on releasing my next video Monday, if everything goes as planned, that is. So keep an eye out for that. That's pretty much what I got planned. I'll probably be over on Dana's channel Sunday.
Yay!
So I'll just post my link to my channel right there in the side chat. So everyone has subscribed to me and go check that out. It's
I was actually just looking it up myself to pull it to make sure it's in the description, because I think you started it too late to get it in the last update of the of Amiga Nuts Shills list. Which is just the general reference I use for pulling everybody's links whenever we're in here.
Well, I tend to actually somewhat disassociate this account with the other one anyway, even though I'm talking about it on this one.
Yeah. But I'm assuming that you would like the link for it to be in the description there so that people can go and find it later.
That would be helpful, yeah, thank you.
Andrew, you have anything happening?
No. That's it? No.
Any final words on anything we talked about tonight?
Daí Korostu.
Das kommt mir Spanisch vor.
That'll do.
Okay, well, I guess then with that.
May I recommend Old Fortran, the finest of malt liquors in the Futurama universe?
I didn't have a brand name for it, but okay. Oh, where's...
It's just a parody of Old English, and it's just another programming language.
Okay, everybody, we have to get Mage's Garden channel up to 100 subscribers so he can get, the custom URL for it and have, the link have the name in it instead of the link being just random characters. So everybody put the Garden Happens link out there so that we can get them up to 100 subscribers.
I'm sure I'll get there at the rate I'm going.
How many subscribers do you have?
Right now I'm seeing 37. Yep. So with that, I would like to thank all my Patreon subscribers and Ox and Robert X, who have also been taking care of moderating everything for us tonight, as they usually do. And the Lavender Lady here, of course, and Kitty, who just left.
Who the hell is that?
Yep. As well as Greg Hartwick and Jyuni the Apostate, who was here earlier, Skits Crasher. And with that, we will bid you... Oh, and Vonrek. Actually, haven't seen much of Vonrek around lately, but I understand he's been popping up again. So even though he hasn't been around, he has still been sending me a couple bucks every month. So with that, we will bid you all a good night.
Yay.
Bye-bye all.
Good night.